So John Eustace, the Derby boss, he wants to see the intensity go up. I mean, if anything, Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, former Liverpool striker, watches a lot of EFL football alongside me in the commentary box. For John Eustace, I mean, you've alluded to it already. We think of his teams as hard to break down, tough to beat. Derby have been way too open so far, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. That back line is a worry, and as I say, the consistency in the way that they're conceding goals is something that would worry me, because they're not learning from their mistakes. You see it, they're playing a relatively high line at time, but even when the line isn't necessarily high, it's, you look at the free kick from the right-hand side that they conceded and Zetterstrom comes out. Is, to me, to you, that was against Coventry, and another couple of goals where it's from wide areas and it's just going behind the back line and no one seems to be taking responsibility. So that definitely needs to change.
There are 6 sides yet to pick up a point in the Championship so far this season. 2 of them live on Talksport 2 tomorrow afternoon. Wrexham against Sheffield Wednesday at 3 o'clock. Before that, Charlton against Leicester at 12:30. And Courtney, I just wonder, from a player's perspective, any anxiety at all, even this early in the season, in terms of picking up those first points, or are you not really bothered 2 or 3 games in?
No, you are. It's not necessarily detrimental that you think, right, if we don't pick up a point in this game, then we're going down. But it's the same thing as a collective, as a team. And I always used to find it as a striker. The quicker you get off the mark, whether that be points for the team or obviously individually for you scoring goals, the better you feel, the more confident you feel. I think the big thing for Derby tonight is don't concede early. Don't be in that place where you think, here we go again, and you've got 80 minutes to play and you've already conceded a goal. I think that's the most important thing for them tonight.
Andy Byman lining up against his old team tonight. Second spell at Derby County, having spent several years down in the southwest with Bristol City. Courtney, is there anything extra in that for a player in terms of motivation? You guys always said, or you always say, that it doesn't mean anything, but does it?
Yeah, of course it does. we have to say the right things at the right time. But, even if you leave on good terms, I've always said it, there's that part of you as a player that always wants to show that, the type of player that you are. I always thrived on scoring goals against teams that I've played for, and it's just a done thing. There's no malice in it, or sometimes there is, depends on how you left, I suppose, but...
Well, the 2 teams are out onto the pitch tonight beneath the lights at Pride Park. The sun has not set totally, although there are heavy clouds overhead, and a big crowd at this stadium as always, not far off 30,000, with a healthy contingent in the away end too. Lots of red and white shirts of Bristol City on show in that away end. Courtney, in terms of Bristol City, I'm going to pick out the goalkeeper Radek Vitek, who already has got the Bristol City fans chanting his name, and he's spoken about his long-term goal of breaking into the Manchester United team. But I mean, first things first, in the Championship, how good a signing does he look?
Well, as I mentioned, we were there for Talksport, that game against Sheffield United. He was absolutely exceptional. Some of the saves that he pulled off were brilliant, kept Bristol City in the game at times where Sheffield United had a really good spell for 20 minutes. I think it was 2-1 at that time, and if they equalise, I think that changes the complexion of the game and the momentum and how it feels to Bristol City. But he was brilliant, and I think obviously to go and compete to get in that playoff places, you always need a strong defence and a strong goalkeeper, and they've certainly got one in Vitek.
Courtney Sweetman-Kirk is alongside me. This is Joe Shannon at Pride Park, live on your home of the EFL, Talksport 2. West Ham against Chelsea in the Premier League over on Talksport tonight. And the Derby fans picking up the atmosphere ahead of kick-off here. Derby County in black and white, Bristol City in red and white. And both teams go into a huddle ahead of kick-off. We are sat just to the right of the halfway line, only 10-15 rows of seats or so from the edge of the pitch. John Eustace and Gerhard Struber both sat in their respective technical areas. Gerhard Struber, the summer appointment at Bristol City, and of course John Eustace took over when Derby looked dead and buried last season. But how things have changed at Pride Park. Though Derby yet to pick up a point in the league so far this season, Bristol City will go top of the table if they win tonight. And it may be early days in the new Championship campaign, but in terms of momentum, Bristol City seem to have plenty of it early on in the new season. We are your home of the EFL. no other place to listen to live and exclusive national radio commentaries from the Championship than on Talksport 2. And the bank holiday weekend's football is about to get off and underway. Derby will kick us off at home, playing from right to left towards the north stand, and Bristol City the other way, left to right towards the south end of the stadium. The game begins. Derby have possession with Nyambe away on that far side of the field. Ryan Nyambe, formerly of Blackburn, heading towards the far side corner flag, and the ball has trickled out of play, and it's an early throw to Bristol City. One thing to note early on here, Ross McCrory has moved over to left wing back, and Mark Sykes, who is very right-footed, starting at right wing back tonight. So there's no change in shape for Bristol City, who've begun the season very well. 4 points from 2 matches so far. When does the table start to take shape, as we often say in football, Courtney Sweetman-Kirk?
I think about 10 games in, I think that's when you start to get a really true reflection of where teams are at. It just gives you a bit of time to show consistency over, like I say, a longer period. And I'll be honest, I think after 10 games, Bristol City, they'll still be right up there. Still think they'll be competing. Like the way that they play, they love to get their wing backs on, and then you've got Knight, who just provides that little bit of stability in the midfield and lets everyone else go and flourish. And Mehmeti as well is another player that I've loved watching for some time now.
Former Derby player Jason Knight in the middle of the Bristol City midfield. As I say, a lot of connections between the two clubs. Zetterstrom is the Derby goalkeeper, punts it long high into Bristol City territory, and it could drop here down the inside left for Elder after Viner hesitated, and Elder's drive is deflected behind off Viner, who seemed to back off there, and Derby get a corner in the opening 90 seconds, 0-0.
Yeah, it's a good start from Derby County. That's what you want, especially at home. You try and get the fans behind you early, and they have scored goals so far. That's not been the issue. It's obviously been keeping them out of the net at the other end.
Yeah, they were 3-2 up against Coventry, weren't they, here last weekend, before losing 5-3, conceded 3 goals in 7 minutes late in the second half, much to John Eustace's dismay. Bristol City boss Struber watches on the near side touchline, baseball cap on, corner from Elder for Derby, high to the back post, brought down by Ozo. The angle is against him on the inside right. Ozo heads to the dead ball line, blocked off by Bristol City's number 10 Scott Twine. It's another Derby corner, and Derby, having lost their opening 2 league matches this season, are showing some early intent here, Courtney Sweetman-Kirk.
Yeah, and that's important, as I say, especially when you're at home. You want to get the fans behind you. If you can get that early goal, then it might make Bristol City shrink. To be honest, I don't think it will, but they've got to work on best case scenario.
Callum Elder goes across to take the corner on the opposite side, the far side to Derby right, scored his first goal for the club last weekend here. One arm up into the air. Derby County fans on all 4 sides of the ground. Elder hoists in the corner, headed away by Rob Dickey through a crowd. It'll drop down to the middle of midfield, and Ozo, the Crystal Palace loanee, goes backwards, and Nyambe plays it back to goalkeeper Zetterstrom. So the Derby side, Zetterstrom in goal, Sanderson, Bart and Clark the centre-halves as Derby go long high up the pitch. Bristol City don't deal with it, and Nyambe and Elder are the wing-backs. Thompson and Ozo in the middle. Morris, Adams and Vyman up front. Bristol City clear over halfway. They have Vitek in goal. Dickey, Viner and Atkinson, the centre-halves. McCrory and Sykes in the wing-back positions. Knight and Randall in the middle. Twine and Mehmeti in support of Rees up front. It's a nice evening for football. Maybe not quite full-on T-shirt weather, but there are lots of replica shirts on show anyway. And it is a great time, the opening weeks of the season, always plenty of optimism, all up and down the divisions and all up and down the country. And I'm sure Derby County fans, Courtney, feel that they can still have a very, very good season to come.
Yeah, I think, they're in a position where things can only get better. As I mentioned, they've shown some attacking intent. They've scored some good goals. It's just the other end. But yeah, it's not panic stations just yet. And as we mentioned, there's injuries to come back into the squad as well, and that's important.
Carlton Morris has made a good start to his Derby career, but he's blocked up on the right-hand side by Sykes, who then gives it away for Bristol City. Derby on the near side, the left, in their familiar black and white. Morris, the new number 9. 0-0 the score on Talksport 2. 4.5 minutes have been played. Clark with a little dink over the top, down the left again, and across comes Viner to hook it into touch, and that'll be a Derby County throw. Good purpose and intensity about Derby. Raucously backed by the home support. I mean, you can never question the demand and the numbers at Derby County. There were more than 30,000 here for the opening game, and particularly noisy at the opposite end of the field to where Derby are attacking in the first half. The north stand end is where Derby are shooting towards early on here. Long throw in by Elder towards Clark, who has his shirt tugged, and then Vyman hits it on the half volley. Derby want handball. It was blocked, the effort from Vyman. Nothing given by the referee. Then scooped deep into the penalty area, and too long that from Ebu Adams. It's a goal kick to Bristol City. That flashed in from Andy Vyman. We haven't got the benefit of replays or monitors here, Courtney, but did Derby have any sort of shout there?
I don't think so. It was tough to see from where we are, but I always then, if I can't see it myself on first look, I go off the reaction of the players. And yes, Vyman was the one that was really asking for it, but sort of those calls have certainly settled down. But yeah, I think Vyman, good opportunity there in terms of the way that he waits his timing to get on the ball. The half volley was good. It looked to be heading goal bound. It just looks like it. You know, the defender gets in the right place at the right time.
We will get another look at it perhaps in a moment. Derby 0, Bristol City 0, and we're in the 6th minute. But Derby have shown all of the early purpose here. Andy Vyman with that shot charged down. Really the key moment of the game so far. I think it was Dickey in the way, and Dickey, the former QPR man, in possession now. Midway inside his own half for Bristol City in their red and white. And now Vyner just shy of the halfway line. John Eustace out to the edge of his technical area for the first time tonight. The Derby County boss. We are getting a look at that Vyman effort again, and it did hit the upper arm elbow of Dickey, but was the arm in an unnatural position? We'll get a word from Courtney on that in just a moment. Still 0-0. Reese battling to hold the play up for Bristol City. Very experienced Championship front man. Bristol City go out to the inside left position, now back to the halfway line, and Dickey again.
Yeah, and I think for me it's close proximity. The ball's hit with power. It's not an unnatural position, and now we've learned about Tarkowski. I don't think he's leaning in towards it, so honestly, that's another one that we've got to add into the equation now.
Or might that have been given on Monday night?
Who knows?
Ball in by Vyner for Bristol City, deep to the back post. McCrory getting up, tries to flick it across goal. Zetterstrom, the goalkeeper, dives in, and he didn't make contact with the ball. Thankfully for Derby, he seemed to avoid making contact with Mometti as well. And eventually the flag is up on the near side touchline. Derby will get a free kick, but that was a strange bit of goalkeeping from the Swede Zetterstrom.
Yes, doesn't fill you with confidence, and I mentioned it, the first goal against them rather, the first Coventry goal. He flaps at that for me. He has to come into that corridor of uncertainty, as they call it, and come and really collect the ball, whereas he doesn't. He does come initially, gets caught in two minds, but Coventry get there first, so that's a couple of shaky moments for me.
The second season in English football for Jakob Vidal Zetterstrom. West Ham United lead Chelsea by a goal to nil in the Premier League. Live on Talksport right now. Lucas Paquetá with the goal, and now the referee's just having to sort out a minor squabble on the halfway line. He's called over Ebu Adams and Scott Twine, who, as Courtney was saying before the game, has reminded us all that he's a set-piece specialist from those direct free kicks. The one he scored at Sheffield United on the opening weekend, his 16th direct free kick goal since the start of the 2021 season. The stats bear it out. He is a top player from those sorts of situations.
Yeah, it was a brilliant free kick, and it's one of those where as soon as Sheffield United give it away, you just think that's a dangerous game to play with Scott Twine on the pitch, and they paid the ultimate price for it.
So 1-0 to West Ham against Chelsea. Goalless here live on Talksport to your home of EFL. Derby go long with the free kick, and it's cleared away. Up to the halfway line by Atkinson, the big centre-half to the left of the three, number 5. Derby have it back now with Nyambi, just shy of halfway. A long-sleeve shirt on. He plays a simple square ball to Dion Sanderson, on loan from Birmingham City. He has had a bit of criticism from the Derby fans early on in the season, and it's a Derby side that haven't kept any clean sheets so far in League or in Cup. They did get through on penalties against West Brom in the first round of the League Cup after a 1-1 draw at the Hawthorns. Hammered upfield by Vyner for Bristol City, up into that A dark evening sky, header away by Danny Bart at the heart of the Derby back line. And there is experience in this Derby defence. Certainly, Courtney, when you look at Bart, Clark and Sanderson has played a lot of games at EFL level.
Yeah, a lot of experience, not a lot of pace, which I think is where they're struggling. And see Sanderson as well, the penalty he gave away. Left a lot to be desired, that defending, the way that he sticks a leg out. He turns his back on the play almost, and I don't know why he was trying to argue with the referee to say it wasn't a penalty. So, like I say, for a player of his experience, really surprised. Not that he gave away the penalty, everyone makes mistakes, but the way that he gave it away.
And Gerhard Struber wagging a finger in the face of the fourth official after Derby get a throw. I think Bristol City felt they should have had a free kick. A challenge by Matt Clark on the near side, the Derby left, centre half with the beard. Long throw up into Bristol City territory. Header away by Viner and then hooked further clear by Sykes. That'll slice out of play for a Derby throw on the halfway line. It's got that early season competitiveness about it, this game. And in fairness to Derby, you wouldn't necessarily know that they'd lost 2 from 2 and Bristol City were the unbeaten team.
No, and I think as well, when you put the EFL Cup game into that, I think it's then 3 games where you're starting to get your fitness. I think the first 2 games, you know, that you feel awful. You've done all the work in pre-season, but you still feel awful. Whereas now 3-4 games and you're starting to get to a point where you actually feel somewhere, you know, close to where you should be.
So August isn't necessarily the most exciting month for a player.
No, it's quite a humbling month, I would say, normally.
Well, they're getting into their stride now, it feels like. 11 and a half minutes in. Derby 0, Bristol City 0. Bristol City go top of the Championship with a win tonight. As if that really is relevant in the very early stages of the season. It wouldn't hurt, that's for sure.
Well, exactly. You know, from their perspective, for a confidence perspective, it's always nice to look at the top of the table and see yourself there. But they also know it's an extremely long season and they won't get too carried away, I'm sure.
Championship commentaries tomorrow here on Talksport 2. Charlton against Leicester, followed by Wrexham against Sheffield Wednesday. 2 big games early on in the season. Wrexham, Sheffield Wednesday in particular, you feel, has the potential to be a cracker, and so much going on at Sheffield Wednesday as well, off the field, and we hope that's sorted out as soon as possible. Jason Knight for Bristol City, the captain. Back to Dickey at the heart of the back 3. Big side, Bristol City. 2 big sides actually out on the field of play tonight. Dickey again, midway inside his own half. Not really more than token pressure from Morris on him. Bristol City work it wide to Viner, and now Knight dropping in between the 2 centre halves. Forward ball to the number 10 Twine, back to Knight again. Viner in front of the touchline, back infield to the central defender Dickey once more. Dickey 6'4", square to Knight, who's got time and space to just meander forward, pings a high diagonal ball out to the far side, the left-headed infield by McCrory. Good header, but Bart is there to sweep up for Derby in front of Rees, headed forward by Vyman. Little flick back from Morris. Good football by Derby. Vyman down the middle. Adams is chasing. 1 or 2 Derby fans were out of their seats, but Atkinson had a head start to send it all the way back to the goalkeeper, Radit Vita.
Yeah, he does well, Atkinson. He reads it, gets his body across, just gets the little toe poke to it to play it back to the goalkeeper. But it was a nice little play from Derby, the up, back and through. Nice little flick in there from Carlton Morris, and Adams making that run from a little bit deeper. It's a good way to try and exploit Bristol City.
You can see the former Derby striker Malcolm Christie is in the commentary box just to our left, and he was out of his feet ready to roar Derby towards goal there. I bet he wishes he was on the end of that sort of pass. Played in the Premier League. Bristol City go back to the on-loan goalkeeper Vitek, who's been excellent since joining from Manchester United and has made no secret of the fact that he feels he can one day become the number 1 goalkeeper at Old Trafford. You can see that his loan moves have gradually got bigger and bigger over time. Accrington Stanley, then an abroad loan move last season, and now here he is in the Championship, which is a different set of demands altogether.
It is, and you look at Manchester United's goalkeeping situation.
Yeah.
I don't think it's against the realms of possibilities by any stretch.
Let's see how he gets on. Certainly the early signs have been very good. Sykes for Bristol City, throw on the near side, the right, level with the edge of the penalty area. More than 2,000 Bristol City fans are here tonight. And a big crowd. at Pride Park. John Eustace and Gerhard Strub are almost side by side on the touchline, both with their arms folded. Bristol City give it away. The ball is picked up by Liam Thompson, and Thompson is fouled. Derby Academy graduate. Free kick to Derby, midway inside their own half of the field. And both teams trying to play. Both set up, of course, with pretty much the same formation, Courtney. One or two differences, but quite a cagey first 15 minutes at 0-0.
Yeah, the main difference is the way that sort of Ibu Adams is in behind the two of Morris and Vyman, whereas it's more of a flat three for Bristol City. But you're right, I like in terms of the way that they're trying to play through the thirds. It's attractive to watch. Obviously, there's not been too much goal-mouth action as yet, but it does look set up for some goals.
Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, former Liverpool striker, with me in the commentary box, based in the Midlands. Busy day of football in the Midlands. We'll talk about Nottingham Forest and Nuno Espirito Santo at half-time, having to constantly keep an eye on whether he is still in charge. For now he is, but who knows after his pre-match press conference early today. We'll bring you more at half-time. Bristol City here with Viner, standing almost in the right back position. Early ball forward over halfway, glanced on upfield by Twine for Rees to get on the end of, but he can't reach it, and Derby go back to Zederstrom, the goalkeeper, who clears all in lime green. Derby have it now on halfway with Nyambi. Back to Thompson, diminutive midfield player. Into the centre circle he goes, and a square ball out to Clark, the number 5, near side the left. Not a lack of confidence about this Derby team, the way they're popping the ball about nicely, and as we've been saying, in front of goal, they've looked good this season. That was one of the problems for them last year. It's just the question of whether they can keep out Bristol City tonight. Sanderson back to Bart. Derby have had most of the possession, but neither goalkeeper has been seriously tested yet.
No, and I think we mentioned it before the game. Look, it won't be panic stations within that Derby County dressing room. They know there's a lot of time. More so they've got more time than maybe the manager, but there's time to improve, and they certainly look like they've done that.
Adams raiding down the far side, the right, with a low ball in, and it's cut out by Dickey. I think there was a slight deflection on it, but Adams's hands go up to his head. It was a good position for Derby there, but he maybe should have done better. Yeah,
I think so. Had a lot of space and time down that right-hand side, and maybe just panicked a little bit.
West Ham 1, Chelsea 1 in the Premier League. João Pedro has scored his first Chelsea goal. Commentary over on Talksport tonight. Of course, you can download our free app and swipe between both stations. You can also watch live shows on the Talksport app, and indeed across our network of stations, Talk, Times and Virgin Radio 2. A long throw upfield for Bristol City into the Derby half. Ozo's there to win it back. He's a powerful player in the middle of midfield, and he's darted away from a couple of red and white shirts, goes backwards to Elder, but the Derby fans in front of us like that. They applaud. Ozo forward to Adams, back now to Thompson. First time pass to the right-hand side. Nyambi has to check back to the feet of Sanderson. Derby keep the ball. Can they carve out a first real chance of the match? There was that one shot from Vyman blocked by Dickey, but that aside, nothing really in front of goal. Clark, the centre-half, has made a good run down the left, and he tucks it infield to Vyman. Dead ball line. He wins a corner against his old team. Third corner of the match for Derby, 0-0.
Yeah, they look good, playing the ball quickly, and that's what I like off 1 and 2 touch. He's just moving Bristol City that little bit more quickly now.
West Ham 2, Chelsea 1. Nicholas Füllkrug has scored.
Didn't last very long, did it?
Absolutely. A couple of minutes between the two goals there. So 2-1 to West Ham in the London derby. A little quieter here in front of goal, but it could still burst into life. It's been quite a good pace to the game, actually. Quite entertaining for a 0-0 so far. 19 minutes gone. The referee's just coming across. He's spotted something in the penalty area in front of that North Stand goal. The referee, David Webb, tonight. McCrory involved, and Carlton Morris is making a nuisance of himself right in front of the Bristol City goalkeeper, Vitek. Elder will take the corner. Morris feels he's being held on the goal line. Elder in towards the near post, really poor delivery. Cleared away first time by the first man, McCrory.
After all that faffing about, you know what I'm like for that, Joe. The referee stopping the game and telling the players, yes, maybe do it once initially, but after that, just whether it be give a free kick, a penalty, or book them, or just stop the play, because they'll stop doing it.
Well, they've talked about holding, haven't they, and more penalties this season for holding, but they were both at it there, really. Long throw by Elding now, not dealt with by Bristol City initially. Eventually they do squeeze the ball clear, hit upfield by Twine, and Derby have to build again from the halfway line with Nyambi. Always exciting for football fans, the bank holiday weekend and a packed programme of football. Of course, we've got our 2 commentary matches on Talksport 2 from the EFL tomorrow. On Talksport tomorrow lunchtime, it's Man City against Tottenham, and then all the goals as they go in with Adrian Durham. The Monday night football on Talksport is Newcastle against Liverpool. So the big games really have arrived early season on the Talksport network. Sanderson jinks away from the onrushing Rees. Good composure from the low knee, and likewise Ozo, middle of his own half to race beyond Scott Twine. Clark backwards now to the feet of Danny Bart, just outside the centre circle, forward by Sanderson, about 20 yards forward. Adams trying to spin and turn midway inside the Bristol City half, blocked off by Randall, who's hurt himself, the former Plymouth man, and Adams has stayed down as well. It was a crunching challenge, a fair one it looked like. Morris has gone across to have his say, and so the first big stoppage of the game, 21 minutes in, it is 0-0. That West Ham second goal, by the way, I'm just being told, has been ruled out after a VAR check, so it is still 1-1 at London Stadium. I mean, Courtney, both players were fully committed there. I think Randall is going to be all right. Adams has come off slightly worse.
Yeah, I think so, and it looked to me like Adams was the one that had the ball. It's the way that Randall actually comes charging in. I think he causes himself more of a mischief than anything. But I think the big thing for me is that the last few minutes, why Derby are getting a lot more joy, is the way that Elder and Nyambi are really pushing up a lot higher. And it's also negating then Sykes and McCrory, because they're then scared to go forward, which is, you know, the first couple of games really, and how Bristol City play. That's normally their best threat, isn't it, going forward in the wide areas? But they've negated that. Derby County so far, they've just not got the goal for their possession and the opportunities that they've created in those wide areas.
Gerhard Struber is quite an animated figure on the touchline, and there are lots of instructions being issued to Bristol City players. We've got a nice perch here at Pride Park in the lower portion of the main stand. We're very close to where the dugouts are. John Eustace having a quick word with Andy Vyman, lining up against his old club tonight. As we said before the game, there are loads of connections between both teams in terms of players past and present. And now Adams, thankfully, is up on his feet, and not always had loads of luck with injuries, the former Cardiff man, but he is ready to go again now. Adams on his feet, and Derby, I think, will get the ball back again here, although we'll see. And maybe it'll be Bristol City, in fact. Adams applauded as he walks towards the far side of the field. A man with even more injury problems, David Ozo, who was really limited last season, multiple injuries that he picked up. He's looked good early on, has he, Courtney, in midfield?
Yeah, as I like the way that he's dropping in, receiving the ball. He likes to dictate the play. Happy to receive the ball in tight areas as well, because he's got that little bit of quality and the awareness to drop the shoulder and get himself out of trouble.
Derby temporarily down to 10. Adams still waiting to come back on. Bristol City have a man advantage. It's still 0-0 halfway through the first half. This is Talksport 2. And on the left for Bristol City is McCrory in front of the away fans. Early ball scooped in by Atkinson. Only half away by the goalkeeper under the challenge of Rees. Derby scramble it away. Only as far as Randall, 25 yards out. Twine tries to play a square ball. He's blocked off. Derby have everybody back, and now Adams has come on. But it wasn't convincing from the Derby number 1, Zetterstrom, in front of the big centre-forward Rees. Didn't really get much on the punch, and Bristol City can come forward again here. McCrory back to Atkinson. Everybody inside the Derby half, bar Bristol City goalkeeper Vitek. And Bristol City playing from left to right in the first half. Viner back tonight. Bristol City half on the attack still here. Knight goes back to the centre circle, and Rob Dickey. A Chelsea lead at West Ham 2-1. Pedro Neto has scored live on Talksport. That after West Ham thought they'd gone in front again, but their goal was ruled out. So West Ham 1, Chelsea 2. Sykes for Bristol City. Plucks it out of the air neatly. Lovely footwork by Sykes, starting down the right, and he wins a corner off Danny Bart. That was so fleet-footed, Courtney Sweetman-Kirk. Good spell this for Bristol City.
Yeah, it was brilliant by Sykes. Really close control and manipulation of the ball. Tries to whip it in. It's probably not the right angle for Twine, really, because it's an outswinger. But if I was him, I'd try and put it on the top of Zetterstrom at the minute, because I'm really not convinced by him. He doesn't fill me with any type of confidence.
The first league start since April for Mark Sykes of Bristol City. Twine, the number 10, the man for the set pieces. Arm in the air, right-footed outswinging delivery, only half away, hit on the half volley and just wide by Jason Knight against his old team. Derby struggling to deal with the aerial threats, and Knight watched the ball drop onto his right foot on the edge of the penalty area, but couldn't hit the target. Stays 0-0.
Yeah, in that as well. Rob Dickey was asking for a penalty. Goes tumbling at that front post area. Looks like he got a push in the back, but probably, he's a big character, isn't he? So to that push, the way that he fell, I think he tried to make the most of it. Let's put it that way.
It comes to nothing in the end, but Knight's effort dragged just wide, probably the closest that either team have come to a breakthrough so far, as Bristol City aim to go top of the Championship tonight in its very early stages. They need a win to do that. Derby still looking for their first point of the new campaign. Bristol City go back to Viner, halfway line. They've had a good spell since play resumed at Bristol City here. After the collision between Randall and Adams, one or two words from Gerhard Struber, the head coach, and suddenly Bristol City look a little bit more purposeful in possession. Knight on the halfway line with a heavy ball way overhead. Far too much weight on that pass, and it's been left to Zetterstrom, the goalkeeper, to collect possession on his own goal line, and Derby can maybe start to build again. But something's just gone out of Derby County in the last couple of minutes. 0-0.
Yeah, it is, and I know that ball is completely overhit by Knight, but it's actually the right idea, because especially on that left-hand side where Clark and Elder are, the back line is all over the shop. Elder keeps going high. Clark will drop in. So in terms of keeping that defensive line tight, it's non-existent. So if they can beat that trap, I think Bristol City could find a way in there.
Good headed down by Morris for Derby. Out to the left, and Elder bursting forward. Cross is blocked off by Viner. Helped out by Sykes as well. He sweeps the ball clear to the halfway line. Good layoff by Rees to find Twine. Back to Rees, just inside the Derby half. Sliding challenge by Thompson. Derby win it back, and it's a very tenacious, competitive game in the middle of that midfield. Bristol City have got it back, and they can look to build again, just as Derby look to be making some headway. Clever knockdown that by Carlton Morris, who has started life at Derby well, and we know that he can score goals at this level, Courtney.
Yeah, exactly. If he's got the service, there's no doubt in my mind he's going to score goals. He's also brilliant with his hold-up play and the way that he brings others into play by doing so, and we've seen it a little bit earlier. The flick round the corner was nice to watch, but he's got to get the service.
They really missed a prolific number 9 last season. Derby only survived relegation officially on the final day. Bristol City went all the way to the playoffs, but in the end never really got going. Heavily beaten over 2 legs by Sheffield United, and that will have hurt these Bristol City players, but the early signs are there's no hangover.
No, and you've got to go into the season with that sort of attitude as well, and obviously the fact that they then went and beat Sheffield United as convincingly as they did will obviously ease that pain. I think they felt hard done by in the first leg, the red card, and obviously that completely changes the game and the whole leg when you go into the second leg 3-0 down. So, but as you mentioned, Joe, you've got to be in a position where you've got to forget that now and focus on the new season.
A change of manager over the summer. Liam Manning moving to Norwich City, and Gerhard Struber, the former Barnsley boss, brought in. And Bristol City have it with Atkinson over halfway line to McCrory, the number 2, out on the far side of the field. The Bristol City left. He tried a 1-2 with Anis Mehmeti, who's not really got into the game at all yet. Very bright player, Mehmeti, though, when he's in the mood. He's won it back, and he's found Randall for Bristol City. He was caught, tackle from behind. Free kick to Bristol City, 10 yards into the Derby half. And I tell you what, Mehmeti was certainly in the mood at Bramall Lane on the opening weekend. Here he is, the number 11, inside left, back to Atkinson, nearly half an hour gone. And still, neither goalkeeper's made a serious save. West Ham 1, Chelsea 2. It remains in the Premier League on Talksport in their live commentary tonight. Bristol City with Dickey, forward pass to Knight, inside right, early ball into the penalty area, cleared away by Sanderson on the volley. You can feel that Bristol City are building something here, Courtney, but still neither team completely convincing in attack.
No, and I'm not quite convinced by Sykes either. I think they had the balance right when they played McCrory and Hirakawa. Whereas Sykes I know he's obviously coming back from injury, so that may be a sort of reason to it, but just doesn't look sharp enough for my liking.
And as you say, it's a tactical change. Hirakawa is on the bench tonight. Here come Bristol City down the right. Reese involved on the near side. The centre forward, he's peeled out to the wing position. Then he sent a scooped, sliced cross, drifting over the top of Zetterström's crossbar, which maybe sums up the lack of goalmouth action over the course of the game so far. It remains 0-0. Zetterström, the Derby goalkeeper, not entirely convincingly with a couple of crosses, aerial balls that he's had to deal with, places it down, but Bristol City haven't really given him enough to worry about ultimately. Zetterström goes long towards Morris, beaten by Dickey, who scoops the ball into the air on the volley. Very dark blue skies overhead now as Ozo comes across to make a challenge. Bristol City throw right in front of their dugout where the Austrian Struber stands. Sykes on the halfway line is ready to take this throw. Sykes goes forward about 20 yards to Knight. Knight tucks the ball down the right-hand side. Clark in front of Reese to put it out of play. It's a Bristol City throw. Able to gain quite a lot of territory in straightforward fashion, that really. Bristol City level with the edge of the penalty area, and here comes Dickey to hoist it in long, and we see pretty much every club's got somebody who can take a long throw these days. Dickey is going to... What's he going to do here? Courtney's going to swap the ball around. Maybe a bit more grip on this one.
Yeah, there's no towel around the pitch for him.
So he's just swapped it over instead. 0-0. Long throw from Dickey, 32nd minute, into the penalty area. Only half away, nodded down by McCrory, who can't get the second shot in at goal. Enough black and white shirts behind the ball for Derby to scramble it clear. Only as far as the midway point of their own half. Very tight area for Bristol City. Mametti trying to find Twine. Across comes Adams to sweep it clear for Derby. Just as it looks as though Bristol City might have been able to find a pass, albeit in a very tight area on the edge of the box.
Yeah, that's the problem. There were so many bodies in such a congested area. Try as they might, even Mametti with his quick feet couldn't quite fashion half a yard to get out of trouble.
And Knight goes backwards to Dickey again. Light blue boots on, he's giving it away to Clark, and now there's space for Adams, breaking over halfway. Morris taps it back to Adams. A first-time ball towards the left was improvised, really. It was a poor layoff from Morris back to Adams, and he never had it under control either. Bristol City go back to goalkeeper Radek Vitek, and a lot of endeavour, no question about it, from both teams, but you'd have to say a lack of quality in the first 33 minutes, and that, in part, is why it is still 0-0.
Yeah, it's not been good enough for either side in both boxes. They've, in the midfield, there's times where it's been played quickly, there's been attractive passages of play, but what we all want to see is goals, isn't it?
Well, there's still plenty of time. Scott Twine for Bristol City, blocked off by Ozo at the expense of a foul. He had a pass on to the right, Twine. Bit slow maybe initially, but he was caught by Ozo anyway, right in front of the referee, and it's a free kick to Bristol City, edge of the centre circle. Yeah,
and that's what he was saying to the referee. He was fuming because he saw Sykes in a good amount of space. He got the run in behind Elder, but just couldn't quite get the pass off before he was fouled.
Clark slides in. It's a scrappy game at the moment. Live on your home of the EFL Talksport 2. Bristol City from left to right. McCrory has rolled the ball right along the touchline itself. Somehow that stayed in play. Clattered up into the air and away from danger by Dion Sanderson. No change for Morris, the Derby striker. It's a Bristol City throw, and he stares at the assistant referee. 11 minutes of the first half remaining. I mean, I'm thinking at this point, Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, that Gerhard Struber as the away manager is probably the happier.
You would say so. I think especially after there was collision, wasn't it, with Randall and Adams rather. And since then, Bristol City have been a lot better. I think he will have been frustrated at the first period, but they're a lot better now.
Space for Sykes to play it forward, and the shot is turned in by Twine. Placed to perfection, right into the bottom corner. Scott Twine, who's made a blistering start to the new season, has his third goal of this campaign, and he just passed it beyond Zetterstrom into the bottom corner from the edge of the 18-yard box, and with their first effort on target, Bristol City have the lead. Heading top of the Championship, Derby 0, Bristol City 1.
There's two things I really like about this. The first one is the weight of pass into Twine. It's got enough on it to make sure that it gets where it needs to go quickly, and actually it makes Twine then shuffle his feet quickly, so he takes it on his back foot. The touch is immaculate, as you expect, because he's such a technically proficient player. Takes it on his back foot, steps it up for his right foot. All he has to do is step through. I say all he has to do. He makes it look simple because he's that good. But then he comes through with his right foot, places it past the goalkeeper, side netting. I know that I've criticised Zetterstrom's today, but I don't think there's much he can do about it. It's just the preciseness of that pass into the back of the net that made it as good as it was.
So third goal of the campaign for Scott Twine, all away from home, 2 on the opening weekend, 1 tonight at Pride Park, and Derby have it all to do, but Vyman breaking into the area straight away from the angle with a cross, and it was blocked by Viner, and the ball cleared eventually upfield by Atkinson. So top of the Championship they are, Bristol City, as it stands. A long way to go into the game, but we have the opening goal, and Derby again failed to keep a clean sheet. 9 minutes of the first half remaining. On Talksport 2, Derby County 0, Bristol City 1. And it was a thing of beauty, the finish, really, because he made it look so simple. I'm sure it certainly wasn't.
No, from the edge of the box to side foot it with that precision, but the power to beat the goalkeeper. Yeah, he made it look easy, but that's how good he is, Twine. But you think about Derby County, the fans here, the players, they'll be thinking, I don't know how we're 1-0 down. They've not played badly whatsoever, but it's just that moment. They switch off for, a couple of seconds. And to be fair, Bristol City, I said this against Sheffield United, clinical, and we've seen that again tonight.
Yes, you wouldn't say that the goal is against the run of play, but it is a bit out of the blue in the context of the game. And Bristol City have won it back on halfway, and suddenly it's 3 against 3. Twine is darting up the middle. To his left is Mehmeti into the penalty area, and it's Mehmeti with the deflected shot, and it's gone behind for a corner kick. Zetterstrom was on his knees in the area of the goalkeeper. He'd have had no chance if that deflection had taken it on target.
No, and again, poor giveaway from Derby County. Yes, Bristol City do well to jump on it the way they do on the halfway line, but suddenly it's panic stations at the back. They've looked relatively okay, and since they've gone 1-0 down now, Derby, you can almost sense it. It's like a here we go again situation.
They conceded 5 here against Blackburn last weekend. 1-0 to Bristol City tonight in the 38th minute. Corner from the far side, delivered in high by Twine, header away by Bart, unchallenged, the Derby defender. Bristol City come forward now with Randall. Randall pings the ball into the box towards the far post. Up went Atkinson, couldn't really get a clear header on it. And Nyambe will clear away for Derby. Forward to Ozo, midway inside his own half. Derby yet to have an effort on target themselves. And Viner will easily beat Ozo to Nyambe's hopeful pass down the right. Back to Vitek, who clears first time left-footed the Bristol City goalkeeper. Bristol City 1-0 into the lead. And looking for 2 away wins from 2 to start the new season. We are going up. The chant from the away end. Well, there'll be 43 games to go after tonight, but they are optimistic, and Gerhard Struber said that they are defending very well at the moment. It was a slightly hurried clearance there from the goalkeeper, but they'll be tough for Derby to break down now.
Yeah, Will, and you mentioned we're away, that first away win as well, and it'll be the first time they've registered back-to-back away wins since November 24, so long way to go, but it'd be a good duck to break.
It certainly would. 6 minutes plus added time remaining in the first half, and they're in control here, the team in red and white.
Yeah, I think you're right, Joe. That goal has changed the game where it was relatively even, and you probably actually couldn't see a goal really coming from either side. It's now Bristol City, not the team that are in control and not the most likely to get the next goal.
3-1 to Chelsea at West Ham. Enzo Fernandez has scored Chelsea's 3rd, live on Talksport tonight. West Ham 1, Chelsea 3. West Ham took the lead, but that feels a distant memory, you'd have to say, at this point. Long throw for Derby. Clark up the near side touchline, and it's cleared away by Viner. Up to halfway, cushioned header out of play by Thompson. And Derby not able to really find their rhythm since going behind. And you look at the front three, Vyman and Morris, supported by Adams, and none of them have really, maybe that Vyman block shot aside, had a big impact, a meaningful impact on the game.
No, they've not. And I think when you look at Morris as well, he's sort of fighting a losing battle because he's going up against Dickey and Atkinson, who are so big and strong, and his try as he might. Obviously, Morris is a strong player as well, but try and hold it up against those types of players, and actually the balls that's coming into him in the air, he's never going to win that battle. So it's as much about the service that they're getting as well as then when it gets there, what they're doing with it.
Sanderson for Derby, midway inside his own half, and he's not really under any great pressure as he looks to carry the ball forward towards the centre circle. Finds Ozo. Close to 30,000 you'd have thought here tonight at Pride Park. Maybe a little less than last weekend, maybe 25,000 or so. But it's quite quiet now, save for the noise of the away supporters in the far corner, the southeast corner. Derby with the right wing back Nyambi, infield to Ozo. All of this midway inside the Derby half. It's not going to hurt Bristol City at all. Happy to let Derby play it around the back line.
Yeah, they're quite clever as well, Bristol City. They'll spring the trap, and when they're ready to go like this, just see their Twine going for the ball, Sykes with it, and everyone's pressing, and they force Derby into a bit of a mistake and a long ball.
From Zetterstrom, the goalkeeper, Dickey caught by Morris in an aerial challenge. And Knight, arms outstretched, looks to the referee. I couldn't really see at first glance whether there was anything in that from Morris, but Dickey's gone.
There was a hand to the face. I don't think there was any malice in it or intention, but I do think he connected as they're both competing for the ball there.
Quick word from Gerhard Struber for the fourth official, but it's all going to go forgotten about now. Dickey back on his feet, Bristol City 1-0 up. Protected goalkeeper Vitek very well. He made numerous saves away at Sheffield United, but he's not had anything to do so far. And in fairness to the Derby fans, they've totally stayed with the team. There's not been really any grumbles of frustration yet, but it could come to pass the longer it stays with them 1-0 down. Flicked by Sykes down the inside right. He goes down now, holding his head as if he was caught. Clark will clatter it long for Derby. Has gone straight out of play. Nice touch from Gerhard Struber.
That's a decent touch, another turn of pace.
Let's get him on the field. Gerhard Struber, at the age of 48, with a lovely touch on the near touchline. He's got those managers' trainers on, the ones that they all wear.
I reckon he's one of them as well. Seeing that gets involved in training still.
I bet. Small-sided games and more. Elders giving it away on halfway for Derby, and the performance certainly in possession petering out for Derby here late in the first half. 1-0 to Bristol City. Twine the goal scorer. Finished it beautifully. Back to Sykes just over halfway. West Ham 1, Chelsea 3 in the Premier League. It remains. That's the latest score late in the first half there too. Both our games tonight on the network kicked off at 8 o'clock. Knight on halfway, pressurised by Ozo, who got a foot in at the expense of a foul. Knight just played it square before he was caught by Ozo. Free kick. He's surely not going to book him for this, is he?
I should hope not, because Knight's really clever. He sees it coming. He knows that the challenge is coming. He can see it in his peripheral and just gets rid of the ball, knowing that he's going to win the free kick. I think it's just going to be a talking to from the referee.
Well, that's definitely sensible from David Webb. Good to see a free kick to Bristol City in the centre circle. No threat to Bristol City whatsoever really at the moment, which is, I suppose, strange for Derby, given that goal scoring hasn't been a problem so far. Knight over halfway. Forward ball for Bristol City down the middle. Steered upfield by Sanderson on the half volley. Good cushion header by Morris. Won it well in the air to find Adams. Quick feet from Adams and Morris in the centre circle. Morris has held it up brilliantly. Wide right is Nyambi on the overlap. Good football by Derby. Forward to Vyman, who is offside. right-hand side. So frustrating for Derby. First time they've really put a good move together. How can you be offside there?
Yeah, and he actually kicks the ball away in frustration because he's so frustrated with himself. And then you look at Carlton Morris, the work that he's done, the cushion header, the ball comes back into him. He's strong, he shifts it, gets it out wide, and then for that to be called offside, he's got to be gutted. He'll be fuming with his teammates there.
Former Sheffield United Liverpool striker Courtney Sweetman-Kirk with us on Talksport 2 tonight. Some of the Derby fans heading for the concourses ahead of half-time. We're about 20 seconds or so away from any stoppages, and you'd think maybe 2 minutes after there was a brief stoppage for that collision between Randall and Adams earlier on. We'll see the fourth official with that electronic board in just a moment. Very vocal, the Bristol City fans, and credit to them. 3 minutes added at the end of the first half. Long goes Vitek, the Bristol City goalkeeper. Mehmeti trying to get in behind after the flick by McCrory, but Derby able to see it back to their goalkeeper. Derby trailed by a goal to nil. Morris in a battle with Viner. Morris has held it up well, needs some support, and he's hardly had any. From a centre-forward's perspective, Courtney, how frustrated is Carlton Morris going to be?
Extremely, and I think that's maybe where they need to change the formation a little bit, because when it's a flat three, it's a little bit easier because the 9 is a spearhead and then the other 2 get in behind, whereas Vyman is not really offering anything. When the ball's pumped up like that, he's not really offering anything to Morris. So even if you don't necessarily change the formation, it just needs to be on those long balls. They need to come in around Morris so he's got something to drop down to.
Nearly a minute of the 3 added at the end of the first half played. Quite an uneventful first half, apart from the very well taken goal from Scott Twine that has Bristol City in front. Is there any sign of a late flourish for Derby? Doesn't feel like it. It's walking pace, this. And the first signs of frustration from the home fans. Derby suddenly very leaden-footed, and they seem to have lost what confidence they did have in possession. Thompson has gone long up towards Adams and dealt with by McCrory, who's hooked it away. Be interesting to see hear the Derby reaction at half-time.
Yeah, they're not happy because, they want their players to look more expansive, to look like actually they're trying to get back into this game at the end of the first half, where now it's being played at a bit of a snail's pace, and that's probably due to Bristol City as well. They're being clever, they're slowing the game down, they want to see it through to half-time, and then moments there where they're doing really well, they're being really clever. Sykes tracking back, he's waiting for the foul, he's waiting for the contact, which happens, wins the free kick, and it's just naivety there. Yep,
foul by Elder on Sykes, who will be credited with the assist for the goal, of course. It was a good ball into the feet of Twine. And we're now into the final minute of added time at the end of the first half. Derby County 0, Bristol City 1. Lots of gaps appearing in the stands now. Lots of Derby fans have seen enough as far as the first half is concerned. Goalkeeper Vitek smashes the ball long for Bristol City. The flick by Morris for Derby. Can't find Adams. Across comes Atkinson and McCrory. Bristol City's left wing back goes back to Atkinson again. Very well organised Bristol City so far. Vitek, the goalkeeper, long once more out to the left. Header infield by McCrory. The loose ball retrieved by Thompson of Derby. Back to Sanderson. There's only a few seconds now for Derby to try and get the ball forward, and they're in no rush to do so, it doesn't seem. The half-time team talk will be a harder one for John Eustace as the referee looks at his watch and hesitates to blow the half-time whistle. Zetterstrom eventually does smash it long for Derby, and we have now reached the break, and a smashing of boos from some of the Derby fans. Their team heading for 3 defeats from 3 to start the championship season, but Scott Twine, with his excellent finish 10 minutes from the end of the second half, has got Bristol City heading top of the league as it stands in these very early stages of the new season. It was a super finish after Mark Sykes' clever pass from the right to find him in a first half really where there'd been hardly any attacking efforts prior to that. Derby had a half shout for a penalty. Vyman blocked by Dickey, but the thinking was it would have been very harsh, and it is a tougher half-time team talk for John Eustace. It's Derby County 0, Bristol City 1. Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, what have you made of it?
Yeah, I think very even, actually, up until the goal. I think, Derby showed some good endeavour going forward, obviously, without having that end product, without having the quality. But after the goal, I think it sapped them of all their confidence. I think after that, Bristol City were completely in control. And I think maybe that's why the fans are a little bit frustrated now. Not necessarily because they're 1-0 down. Obviously, that comes with some frustration. But I think it's the reaction to the goal that maybe the fans aren't too happy with. And yeah, I understand that when you concede a goal that is not great. But I think especially the defence, for then the next 5 or 10 minutes really looked at 6s and 7s. That defensive line is something that worries me, because when you look at the positioning of Elder and Clark compared to Bat and Sanderson and Niambe when he comes back round, it's all over the place. And I think if Bristol City can spot that and exploit that, they're going to get in behind time and time again. But it's only 1-0, and if they come into the second half derby with the same endeavour that they started the first half with, then they can get back into the game. But it's how they come into the second half, how they approach it.
OK, much more from Courtney Sweetman-Kirk to come. We will have second half commentary here on Talksport 2. Derby County 0, Bristol City 1 is the half-time score. West Ham 1, Chelsea 3 over on Talksport. Coming up, we'll look ahead to tomorrow's action in the Championship on Talksport 2 at the break at Pride Park. Derby 0, Bristol City 1.
Ultimate Sports Radio.
What a moment!
This is Talksport 2.
Hey, it's Matt. We need to talk. I'm at a different place in my life right now. You deserve to be with someone who knows what you're really worth. It's over. I'm selling you on CarWow.
With over 5,500 dealers on our site, breaking up with your car has never felt so good. Get a valuation today at carwow.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Yorkshire tea, where everything is done proper. Yorkshire tea, where everything is done proper. Oh.
Maybe not.
Yorkshire, Yorkshire, Yorkshire tea, where everything's done properly. Yorkshire, Yorkshire, Yorkshire tea.
Right, enough of that. How about Yorkshire tea, where everything's done proper?
This season with the Premier League, UEFA Champions League, Europa and Conference League, Emirates FA Cup and Adobe Women's FA Cup all in one place. TNT Sports is not normal. Neither was Declan's double of free kicks into the top bins.
It's right again!
Tarkovsky's equaliser that shook the Gladys.
It's Tarkovsky! Unbelievable.
And then there's this guy's 121st minute winner. All these competitions in one place, not normal. TNT Sports.
Have you ever wondered what becoming a lotto millionaire sounds like?
You want to sit down? I can confirm that you have won £1 million indeed.
That's Terry, finding out he'd won £1 million.
Oh my God.
Lotto from the National Lottery. Will you be the next millionaire? Rules and procedures apply. Players must be 18 or over.
Think summer can't get any better? It just did with Deliveroo's new Freshness Promise. Your fresh and chilled groceries are covered to give you peace of mind. Enjoy freshness or your money back. So whether you're grilling sausages and veggies in the garden or refilling the fridge with milk and more after your holiday, look out for the Freshness Promise badge in the Deliveroo app today. Now just got even better. Selected partners and items only. Seek badging at geographical restrictions, fees and T's and C's apply. See deliveroo.co.uk and FAQs.
August deals have arrived at Very, with unmissable savings from the online store for fashion, home and more. Like the Lego City Arctic Explorer Science Lab truck, $59.99. And the GHD Platinum Plus bundle, only £189. Plus, there's more time to pay with Very Pay. Very. Let's make it sparkle. Shop Very today. Event ends 28th of August. Delivery from $3.99.
Hard-hitting football coverage on DAB+, online, via the Talksport app and on your smart speaker.
An absolutely magnificent effort!
EFL Live on Talksport 2.
Bristol City come here knowing a win will take them top, and after a summer of change, they are bidding for a Premier League spot again. In the air, right-footed outswinging delivery, only half away, hit on the half volley and just wide by Jason Knight against his old team. Derby struggling to deal with the aerial threats. Space for Sykes to play it forward, and the shot is turned in by Twine. Placed to perfection, right into the bottom corner.
He makes it look simple because he's that good.
And with their first effort on target, Bristol City have the lead. Heading top of the Championship, Derby 0, Bristol City 1. So that's right, we've reached the half-time whistle here at Pride Park. Plenty more EFL action to come for you over the weekend. Tomorrow on Talksport 2, we'll bring you a double-header of Championship action. First, Leicester go to Charlton at 12:30 before newly promoted Wrexham welcome Sheffield Wednesday to the Racecourse Ground at 3. And with a preview of what's to come, here's your match commentators, Flo Pollock and Ian Danter.
Recently relegated Leicester City travel to newly promoted Charlton. The mood amongst the fan bases couldn't be more different for this one. Charlton have brought in plenty of players this summer to help them compete on their return to the Championship. And Nathan Jones' side has hit the ground running. A win on opening day and a hard-fought away point last time out at Bristol City. Leicester come to the Valley on the back of scraping past Sheffield Wednesday on the opening weekend and then losing to Preston. The club suffering a bit of a hangover from the Premier League relegation. The squad not entirely stable with players being picked off by Premier League clubs and some fan discontent rumbling away in the background. This game will be Charlton's 1,000th home league game in England's second tier, and they're expecting 20,000 again at the Valley. Charlton's home has become a fortress under Nathan Jones. They're unbeaten in their last 16 home league games. It's live on Talksport 2, Saturday, 12:30 kickoff.
I'm Ian Danter off to the Racecourse Ground to see Wrexham take on Sheffield Wednesday in the Championship. That's the Talksport 2 3 o'clock commentary. Both sides without a point in their opening two fixtures, but the contrast between the recruitment of these two sides couldn't be more stark. Wrexham bringing in loads of players over the summer to augment their squad. Sheffield Wednesday, barely a dozen full first-team regulars available to their manager Henrik Pedersen. Who will come out on top? Who might get their first three-point haul of the season? You'll find out on Talksport 2 at 3 o'clock. Wrexham against Sheffield Wednesday.
So, of course, Sheffield Wednesday in dire straits at the moment. The club's failure to pay its players and staff on time has led to a mass exodus of key stars, including Josh Windass and Michael Smith. There have been a series of protests at Hillsborough by Wednesday fans aimed at their owner, Dafon Shansiri. And for more on this, here's the host of the EFL Fan Network and lifelong Wednesday season ticket holder, Dan Fudge.
It's a tough time to be a Sheffield Wednesday fan right now. After the tumultuous time we've had recently with the players, coaches, support staff not being paid on time 4 times out of the last 5 months, as a result of that, a number of players have essentially handed their notice in and departed, which, to be honest, is their right to, and I don't really blame them. The chairman is looking for an obscene figure to offload the club, which is already a deterrent to any potential investor. But then when you throw in the notoriously difficult person he is to do business with, these negotiations aren't getting anywhere. Our first home game of the season against Stoke was preceded by a march organised by the Supporters Trust, where a symbolic coffin was marched through the neighbouring park at Hillsborough. Personally, not my cup of tea, but the aim is to get the media's eyes on the club, and it certainly worked. There's also an initiative being run right now called Not a Pound in the Ground taking place, where fans are encouraged not to purchase anything from the stadium, which has been wildly successful. At half-time, there were empty concourses and late entries to the ground to ensure the chairman doesn't get any more of our money. We have the highest ticket prices in the league, home and away, and now the chairman wants a whopping 72 quid for a shirt that's clearly been designed on Microsoft Publisher 1997, and we've had enough. There were rumours of even more players looking to leave that seem to have tempered in recent weeks. Whether that's an indication that a sale might be on the horizon, only time will tell. But as it stands right now, it's going to be a long old season for Sheffield Wednesday unless something changes drastically.
So don't forget you can catch the EFL Fan Network every Thursday at 5 right here on Talksport 2 or wherever you get your podcasts from. But the biggest news today in the world of football has been that of Nottingham Forest's manager Nuno Espirito Santo and his position at the club following comments he made about Forest's owner Evangelos Marinakis. Forest was said to be looking at alternative managers despite finishing 7th in the Premier League last season and winning their opening game of the new season against Brentford. Here is what Nuno had to say earlier today.
I always had a very good relationship with the owner. Last season was very, very, very close, almost daily basis. This season, not so well. But I always believe that dialogue and what you say or your opinion is always valid, because my concern is the squad and the season that we have ahead of us. But our relations has changed.
It's changed?
Yeah, it's not so close. It's not on a daily basis. So, yeah.
Is that a good thing, though? Or?
No, it's not good. It's not good. I think everybody at the club should be together, but it's not a reality.
So that is Nuno Espirito Santo earlier today. Talksport understands that the owner, Evangelos Marinakis, has called an emergency board meeting to discuss the manager's future. And of course, Forest are meant to be in action this weekend up against Crystal Palace. That game is on Sunday at Selhurst Park. And it remains to be seen whether Nuno will actually be in charge. Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, former Liverpool striker, watches a lot of Premier League football as well as the EFL, of course. He's alongside me at Pride Park on Talksport 2. Courtney, what have you made of what's unfolded today?
I think it's strange, and it's a bit of a running joke, actually, among, obviously, most people that go to the games at Forest and the journos, where you look at Nuno's programme notes, and they're non-existent.
They're the briefest in the league.
Yeah, you get a couple of sentences at best, and I think that's in general how Nuno Espirito Santo seems to operate. He doesn't necessarily give that much away. So when he does like this, I don't necessarily think it's anything said that's really bad that brings the club into disrepute, but the fact that he's normally so quiet and then goes to letting us into that situation when you could probably have lied, as some footballers and managers have to do. You almost have to play the game and say, no, everything's fine. I think that's a big statement on his side and a big call to make.
Can you see him staying? Does he survive this? With an owner like Marinakis, does he stay on?
I don't think so, and not because of footballing reasons, but like you say as well, Macanaris is a very gregarious character. He's not backwards in coming forwards, and I just think to be spoken about like that, in that manner, I very much don't think he'll like it and can't see Nuno stay in the course.
Well, we will see. Talksport, talksport.com for all the very latest on Nuno Espirito Santo's future at Nottingham Forest, which you'd have to say at this point does look in some doubt. The two sets of players back out onto the field of play here at Pride Park in our Friday night commentary game. Derby 0, Bristol City 1 is the latest score. Tomorrow in the Championship, Charlton-Leicester at 12:30, followed by Wrexham against Sheffield Wednesday at 3. Just looking out onto the field of play, I don't think there are any half-time changes for either team from what I can tell, as Morris comes out of the tunnel now just to our left for Derby County, and I think Derby are possibly one player short, but there's no activity at the moment that would suggest that any further activity is going to take place, and indeed Elder's come back on, so it looks as though it's as you were for the second half with Courtney Sweetman-Kirk. Derby, the team with it all to do.
Yeah, they are, and I think it will be a case of it'll be 10-15 minutes. There'll be instructions from John Eustace as to what he wants to see, and if he doesn't see that, that is the point where you make changes. I think half-time changes are a very big statement to make normally, and I don't think we're quite at that point yet where that needs to happen. It's only 1-0, they can get back into it.
So Bristol City heading top of the Championship in these early days of the new season. 1-0 in front, and they will kick off the second half from right to left towards the north end of Pride Park. Red and white for Bristol City. Derby County in black and white, playing from left to right towards the south end of the stadium. Header in the centre circle from Sykes for Bristol City, then McCrory all over the back of Adams with another header back into the same position, and Bristol City retain the ball, easy possession for Jason Knight, and they lead by 1-0. Derby with Zetterstrom in goal, Sanderson, Bart and Clark, Nyambi, Thompson, Ozo and Elder, Adams behind Morris and Vyman. Bristol City look down the inside right for Emil Rees, their centre forward, burly player, turning away from Barton, laying it back to Twine, the goal scorer. Right corner of the 18-yard box. Twine shows good composure to jink in field rather than playing the instant cross. Knight goes back out wide to Sykes, forward to Rees, turns inside the 18-yard box, blocked off by Clark, half blocked off. Rees has still managed to hold it up. He goes backwards to Sykes in the right wing position, and Bristol City still look a threat here. Sykes back to Viner, square to Randall. Good footballing team. Randall chips the ball into the penalty area, could run towards Mehmeti, and Sanderson came across. Mehmeti for a moment looked like he'd got the right side. Sanderson did just enough, was bundled over. That's a Derby free kick.
Yeah, the right idea though from Bristol City, that late run from Mehmeti across and just on the blind side. And don't get me wrong, Sanderson does well to recover it, but they're the sort of instances that I'm talking about where you can get in behind that Derby County back line. It seems to be causing them problems, and it nearly caused them one there.
So Bristol City, Vitek in goal, Dickey, Viner and Atkinson, McCrory, Knight, Randall and Sykes, Twine the goal scorer, and Mehmeti behind Rees up front. Derby have not forced Radek Vitek into a single save so far, and this big crowd are expectant of more in the second period. The Derby subs: Vickers, Forsyth, Osborne, Brewster, who could yet make his debut, Hoodmine, Jackson, Rooney, Ward and Clark. And the Bristol City substitutes: Lumley, Bird, Hirakawa, Mayulu, Tanner, Bell, Roberts, Cornick and Armstrong. That'd be 7 points from 3 games for Bristol City. Dickey heads clear for them from inside the penalty area. Derby would stay without a point so far this season. They'd stay in the relegation zone, of course. Out on the left-hand side for them, though, is Callum Elder. That's a good cross in towards Morris, headed away by Dickey. He nearly got up there, Carlton Morris. Close range. Good ball in by Elder. Much more like it from Derby County, though Elder has run all the way back and played it all the way back into his own half. Derby keep the ball. 3 minutes into the second half. 1-0 down. What will John Eustace have been stressing at half-time to his players, I wonder, Courtney?
Well, I think for one, it's the energy that they showed in the first period of the first half. That needed to continue, which it didn't. I think he'll try to instill actually some confidence back into them, because you see as soon as they conceded, the confidence drained from them. They look shaky at the back. So it's just reminding them, one, of what they're good at, and equally, that's the little things obviously round the back that I'm mentioning about that back line and the line where it's all at 6s and 7s and it's all uneven. They need to keep that line more connected, otherwise Bristol City are going to exploit it.
Derby, for what it's worth, actually dropping to the bottom of the table tonight on goal difference. Ozo from the halfway line plays it backwards, and now Thompson takes up possession. Thompson midway inside his own half. Forward over halfway to Sanderson. Sanderson jicks away down the near side to right, away from Mehmeti. Sets up Adams, raced into the area. First touch a bit heavy. Across came the defender, and it's hit the corner flag and gone behind for a corner to Derby County. Better from Derby, playing from left to right.
Yeah, it's a shame by Adams as well, because like you say, he just overcooks that touch and he can't get the shot off. But fair credit to Dickey, though. He reads that situation very, very well. And the way that he comes across to clear the ball gets Bristol City out of trouble.
Decent record at home against Bristol City over recent years, Derby County. And they have a corner on this near side touchline, which Callum Elder will take. It'll be left-footed and in-swinging. Bristol City have brought everybody in the red and white shirts back behind the ball to defend, and the Derby fans, very vocal at that south end of the stadium, are all on their feet. Beneath the floodlights here as Derby seek an equaliser early in the second half. Elder with the corner, left-footed, high towards the back post. Sanderson was up there, header away by Twine, missed bicycle kick by Adams, and the referee's given a free kick, I assume for a high boot, but no one was anywhere near him. And I can't understand that decision, Courtney.
No, it's not for me. I think David Webb's actually refereed this game quite well so far. We've not had to mention him, which is normally a good thing for a referee, but I, for the life of me, can't understand why he stopped the game there.
Well, Adams was entitled to take a big swing at it, and he did that, hoping for the spectacular. Of course, we've already seen a couple of overhead kick goals in the English season so far, but that wasn't quite Richarlison. Forward by Viner for Bristol City over halfway, and it's retained by Bart. This is a lot better from Derby, though.
Yeah, it is, and John Eustace, just see they're out the edge of his technical area, pushing the team on, applauding what he's seeing because he's liking this more from Derby County. That lacklustre end to the first half won't have pleased him, but this is better.
Nyambi down the near side, the right in front of our commentary position, midway inside the Bristol City half. Tackle comes in from Atkinson, throw to Derby. Atkinson, I think, was trying to pressure the assistant into giving a free kick more than anything, because I think he knew that there was nothing wrong with the challenge on him.
It's always worth asking the question.
Derby go back to halfway anyway. And the atmosphere picks up at Pride Park. And Derby, who have been here since 1997 now. And West Ham 1, Chelsea 3, by the way, back underway in the Premier League on Talksport tonight. And once both matches are done, you can have your say over on Talksport from 10 o'clock with the Sports Bar Weekender. Adam Cattrall and Carlton Cole, the former Chelsea striker. 03717 22344 to speak to them. Derby have it with Ozo. And now Thompson on halfway in front of the two dugouts. Forward to Nyambi. Clever flick with his heel, but that is going to bounce through to the goalkeeper. Derby fans, one or two of them out of their seats, but in fairness to Atkinson this time, he looked like he didn't do all that much, and the referee allows play to go on. But there is more pressure on this Bristol City back line. Halfway line, Derby have it with Thompson again. Retaining possession well, Derby, 7 minutes into the second half.
Yeah, they are, and they look like they're playing a little bit flatter as well as a forward three. It's Adams on this right-hand side now. He's trying to occupy McCrory, Vyman out on the left-hand side, and Morris through the middle. So just tweaking it ever so slightly.
And can those little tweaks maybe help Derby find an equaliser here? Forward from Derby, high downfield up towards Morris, headed away, drops to Adams, touches it onto Vyman, pass out to the right, a little behind Nyambi, who had to retreat to get under control, and then he's robbed by McCrory. Very efficient play by McCrory, the Scotland man. Nyambi goes down into the challenge of McCrory, then Vyman goes to ground right in front of the assistant, nothing given. Two players go down off the ball just inside Bristol City territory, Bart and Twine. Sinclair Armstrong, the man you mentioned earlier, Courtney, is going to come on for Bristol City shortly. And so Gerhard Struber, very early in the second half, though his team are leading by a goal to nil, seeing fit to make a substitution. Vyman's back on his feet again.
Yeah, he's a handful though, Sinclair Armstrong. And Neil Rees has not quite got into the game today for me. He's tried, it's not a lack of effort. But certainly Armstrong is a different customer that will just offer a different battle for that Derby back line.
Still not scored for Bristol City, Emil Rees, although of course this is only the fourth game of the new season in all competitions. Atkinson blocked off by Adams, fouled by Adams. Derby fans in front of us furious. John Eustace turns away, back to the dugout, and here comes that Bristol City change. Like for like, as Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, the former Liverpool striker, predicted. Off goes Rees, just 8.5 minutes into the second half, and on comes the former QPR man Armstrong, who has gone a long time without scoring, actually. 24 games now for Bristol City, but I think you're absolutely right, Courtney. There is a lot of potential. He's only a young man, so he will come good and start finding the back of the net, you would think.
Yeah, he always offers something. He's run the channels, he can come and play, he can hold it up and set it off for other players. And you know, a lot of that, though, you know, in terms of those appearances, not been long. Normally from the bench to try and make that impact, but hopefully once he gets that one goal, he'll start him off in a good goal run.
Armstrong has held it up well. The number 30 holds off two in black and white, fouled by Danny Bart, and Armstrong's first action is to help Bristol City win a free kick. Very jubilant away section in one corner of the ground at the moment, and Bristol City playing towards the opposite end of the stadium, but you've been able to hear the Bristol City fans really right from the very start. 2 wins from 3 in the league. It could well be under Gerhard Struber, but there's a long way still to go. 35 minutes plus added time for Derby to get an equaliser, 1-0 down. Of course, Derby will still feel there's enough time for them to come back and win the game, maybe. Clark will go long, right up the middle, header away by Dickey. That's easy for him. And he's cushioned the header very simply into the path of Vine. A nice touch from Dickey, who didn't panic. He's on the ball again now. Forward pass to Randall, the number 4, turns it towards halfway. And not great pressure, not a good ball towards Twine. Derby win it back. And they go backwards One or two murmurs from the home supporters again, but there's been a greater purpose about Derby in the second half. Maybe slightly more direct in the second half, Courtney?
Yeah, I'm just looking down at the Derby bench. Seems to be a bit of movement, so I think John Eustace is getting ready to make some changes. But you're right, they have been a little bit more direct, and they've done better in terms of getting round Morris. And actually, even if he's not winning it, it's a poor header from the defender, and that's when Adams and Vyman are getting a little bit closer and being able to scoop up the seconds.
Vyman with a pretty poor sliding tackle from behind on Atkinson, and that's a frustrated challenge, I think it looked like, from Andy Vyman, and he's arguing his case to the referee, maybe still making the point about the challenge on him by the corner flag earlier, but you can't tackle like that.
Yeah, exactly, and it might have been a foul, but that's done and dusted. The referee's not giving it, and putting your frustrations into a tackle like that probably isn't the best use of your energy.
Bristol City heading top ahead of the rest of the weekend's action. The teams who picked up maximum points in their first two games, Stoke, Middlesbrough and West Bromwich Albion. It wouldn't be maximum for Bristol City, but it would certainly represent a promising start to a new campaign after the playoff semi-final heartache of last season. Headed by Bart, away from danger for Derby, nodded down towards Armstrong, but Sanderson gets there in front of Mehmeti to win it back for Derby County again. Now Nyambi in the right back area, lots of hard work from Derby, but precious little quality. Bobby Clark, the loanee, the winger, formerly of Liverpool, is going to come on shortly. He's stripped and ready to go, getting some instructions from John Eustace. I think it might not be the only change for Derby. There might be another on the way as well. So lots of activity on the bench closest to us, and maybe no great surprise as we head towards the hour mark that Derby are making the changes. This is Talksport 2. Bristol City 1-0 up. And though they're not seeing as much of the ball, I think they're still pretty comfortable, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I think they've not been worried from what I can remember as well. I don't think Vitek has had a save to make as yet. So yeah, he's had a quiet night so far. Just watching him, he's trying to keep himself warm, jumping up and down, running around, because he's had precious little to do.
Yeah, that tells you everything, doesn't it? Quite in contrast to the goalkeeper's debut. Rhian Brewster's going to come on for Derby, and Joe Ward. It's a triple change. Out comes Zetterstrom, the Derby goalkeeper, all in lime green, and he's first to the ball ahead of Mehmeti. Now Derby carry it forward up towards halfway with Elder, but he's easily beaten in that challenge. A lunge on the far side of the field from Twine, who has had an excellent all-round game tonight, and Bristol City have it back on halfway. He's been the player of the game so far, and Twine is darting up the middle again, this time tackled by Clark, who somehow managed to reach that underneath the boot of Twine. Morris back to Thompson, Clark on the left halfway, trying to get forward on the overlap. It's turned out to play, and it's a Derby throw, but we'll see Rhian Brewster make his Derby debut here, and Clark and Ward coming on. The first number up is that of Thompson. He gets a standing ovation from some of the Derby fans in front of us as he goes off. Joe Ward, I mentioned, is coming on, and he will replace Nyambi. Ward, who had a mixed night against West Brom in the League Cup recently, scored but missed a penalty in the shootout, which Derby did eventually win. And the third change for Derby is Brewster, their new number 10. Welcome to the field. Former Sheffield United man gets a big roar as he replaces Andy Vine.
He's got a lot of promise, Rhian Brewster. He's had such a tough time with injuries. He never really got going at Sheffield United, and he'll be hoping that this is the one, this is the move that really gets him going again.
Now a gone, long throw for Derby towards Morris, only half away by Bristol City, but eventually Mehmeti's able to scoop it over halfway. Get this, West Ham 1, Chelsea 4. Moises Caicedo, the latest player on the score sheet for Chelsea, who are running riot at London Stadium, live on Talksport tonight. This is Talksport 2. And a much greater attacking outlook about Derby County with those changes. Adams looks like he's slotted in alongside Ozo in the middle of midfield. Brewster helping to win it back for Derby on halfway. Ozo carries the ball towards the halfway line again. Good touch by Brewster to nudge it wide left to Elder, who wins a throw off Sykes. Bristol City's 1-0 lead is a slender one. Header away by Dickey. A bit passive at the moment, Bristol City. Clark for Derby shuffles the ball onto his left foot, chips it long to the edge of the penalty area. Atkinson with a simple header clear. It's won back industriously by Clark in the middle of midfield, but he's tackled by Randall, who pokes it onto Mehmeti. Mehmeti down the left-hand side, near side of the field. Armstrong now running at the defender Bart, who is backing off. Armstrong surging forward, tried to run in between Sanderson and Bart. Couldn't do so. And then across came Adams with a sliding challenge. Thought he'd hurt himself there for a moment, but he's quickly back on his feet. So John Eustace has used that hour mark, as we often see from managers, to ring the changes. But Derby have given it away. Twine from the edge of the area with the shot, hits the back of Bart and cannons away. It'll drop down to Twine again in the area. Across came Clark, and the deflection takes it through to Zetterstrom.
He struck that one really well with his weaker left foot, but it was travelling. Who knows whether it would have beaten Zetterstrom if it wasn't for the big block, but it certainly hit that one well.
Well, that's the nature of the game that Derby are playing at the moment, chasing an equaliser, and that can potentially leave them vulnerable too. Adams plays it back to Sanderson. Been a game of very few chances. Really, the Twine goal and the effort from Jason Knight for Bristol City before that went wide, the two opportunities that come to mind. Derby have not really created anything. Long ball up towards Brewster for them, beaten in the air by Atkinson. And Bristol City defenders, that tall back three, will win those long balls, looping long balls in the air every time of day. Ward out on the right for Derby. First time for the substitute to be able to stretch his legs. Plays it back to Sanderson on the halfway line, and a good ball by Adams, rolled up the near side right channel. Clark hassling Atkinson, throw to Derby, level with the edge of the penalty area. Maybe they're building slowly but surely here, the Rams. It's going to be a long throw into the penalty area, Courtney Sweetman-Kerr.
Yeah, and I love that run from Bobby Clark. He starts more towards sort of the middle of the box, makes that darting run across into that right hand channel, does really well, doesn't really deserve to get anything from it, but works extremely hard.
Morris has gone to the back post. Brewster is being loosely marked by Sykes near the penalty spot. Long throw by Ward towards Clark at the near post. He gets a touch on it, tries to nod it back across, but he's beaten in the air by Atkinson, the number 5. Assistance flag for handball against Clark. Derby fans fuming. Free kick Bristol City, who lead 1-0.
I think that's really harsh. He's being pushed in the back. Not necessarily pushed in terms of a foul, but obviously just being defended. Close contact, that's what football is. You can still have contact. But I think he's pushed into the ball with his arm rather than him making that deliberate attempt towards it. I'm not convinced with that one.
Just explain handball to me again, Courtney.
No, I don't know. I don't think anyone knows anymore.
Knows. In fairness to Clark, he didn't really appeal, but it did look really harsh at first glance. Vitek, the Bristol City goalkeeper, clatters the ball long, header by Clark downfield. His goalkeeping gloves are going to be completely unmuddied so far, Vitek. He's not had a save to make. Bristol City at the other end with Twine. Clever chip ball down the inside left. Armstrong with the angle tight, tries to place it. Saved by Zetterstrom, who then is able to pounce on the loose ball. Great ball, Twine, and actually quite a clever effort from Armstrong.
Yeah, it was, and also it's a fantastic run from Mehmeti because he comes across to the right-hand side. That opens up that channel for Sinclair Armstrong. Takes it down well, good first touch. Angles his body, gets the shot off. If someone's just that little bit closer to Zetterstrom, they've got to tap him.
West Ham won. Oh, and a terrible back pass by Adams for Derby. And the Derby fans are bemused and angry at that. Adams has just scooped that miles over the top of Bart, and it's gone out of play for a corner to Bristol City. And now the goalkeeper's been wrestled away from the ball by Twine. He's delayed the restart, and that is a yellow card for Zetterstrom as well as a corner for Bristol City.
He was already on thin ice because I think he got to 7 before he released the ball out of his hands, so I think the referee was already watching him. And I've just watched as well, as that happens, that pull ball back from Adams. John Eustace, he laughs, he shakes his head and he sits back down in his dugout as if to say, I can't legislate for that.
One of those nights for Derby so far. 20 minutes into the second half, 1-0 down. Corner to Bristol City, delivered in high by Twine, over the head of Dickey. Derby trying to smuggle the ball clear, hit by McCrory from the edge of the box, and it's wide. Caught it quite cleanly, but behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, he catches it really well, actually. It's just far too wide of the target. Zetterstrom as well, diving across, he always had it covered.
And just before that, Adams' back pass out of nothing. Chelsea scored a fifth at West Ham. 5-1 up, Trevor Chalobah. It is almost empty at London Stadium in the home end, I'm told, but already it feels like there's pressure on Graham Potter. 8 goals in 2 Premier League games conceded by West Ham. 5-1 down to Chelsea, and like us, plenty of time still left there. Live on Talksport. 1-0 to Bristol City at Derby on Talksport 2. And no suggestion that John Eustace is under any pressure at all at Derby, but he'll be frustrated if they don't get something from this. As Sanderson looked to be shoved to the ground, I think it's just a throw to Derby on the halfway line, near side of the field. I mean, is that fair, Courtney? Will he be disappointed if they don't get something? Because there's not really been anything in the game, bar one moment.
Yeah, I think he'll be disappointed. One, from just a moment of a lapse of concentration, and also they've created enough in terms of getting into the final third. It's just then obviously the sort of the next pass, the next cross to then create a goal scoring opportunity. So obviously it needs to be better. You can't keep continuing to lose games and go, actually, well, we've played all right, so something needs to change. But again, I wouldn't say it's panic stations. This isn't a performance where I look at it and think this is absolutely woeful. They don't look like scoring. They don't look like they can defend anything. Defensively, they've looked a lot better, so at least they've sort of stemmed one problem. But by doing that, they've probably looked less of a threat going forward.
And Bristol City have won it back through Knight, right to the centre circle. Armstrong with a clever touch, plays a backwards pass to Atkinson. He's looked very sharp since coming on. Sinclair, Armstrong. And Bristol City would be 1 goal conceded in 3 championship matches to start the new season, heading top ahead of the rest of the weekend's football, which continues at a pace on the Talksport network tomorrow lunchtime. Charlton against Leicester at the Valley with us on Talksport 2. Charlton still unbeaten. Leicester beaten late at Preston last time out. And then Wrexham and Sheffield Wednesday meet in North Wales, both without a point so far. Here is Clark winning it back for Derby, middle of the Bristol City half. Brewster wide to the near side, the right. Joe Ward to hang up the cross, deep to the back post. It's a good ball. Sykes let it bounce, and then Elder came in with a pretty clumsy challenge. Didn't need to make it, but it is a free kick to Bristol City.
It's the same thing he did at the end of the first half when Sykes was in his own corner. Yeah. And again, exactly the same thing, naive, going nowhere, make it difficult, but you've just given the defender a get out of jail free card.
Yep, same 2 players, same result. Because Sykes, I mean, yes, he could go back to the keeper, but he can't really go anywhere else. And Elder's just killed the momentum for Derby there. Kenzo Hoodmine and Caden Jackson stripped and ready to come on next for Derby County in the black and white. In terms of going forward, it's a performance maybe more reminiscent of the Derby of last season, struggling for clear-cut chances. But as you say, Courtney, John Eustace will surely feel better about the defensive display tonight. Maybe the goal aside, although it was a very well taken goal from Scott Twine.
Yeah, and I think, look, you've got to find the balance. They've conceded 8 goals in 2 games, so obviously before tonight, so they've got to find that balance. They had to make sure they looked defensively better. You forgive the attacking intent for that, so it's going to take a little bit of time to find that balance, obviously, but I think, again, we've mentioned the performance. It's not been horrendous by any stretch, and there's something to build on for Derby.
Hoodmine for Ozo, and this is a very attacking change. Maybe they'll go to a back 4 here, Derby. Jackson for Bart, so central defender sacrifice for forward player, a striker, and let's see how Derby reset from here.
Yeah, it's an interesting one if it does go to a 4 at the back, because, as you say, to provide more attacking intent is probably the most sensible thing to do, but equally they've probably nullified Bristol City aside from the goal so much because they've matched them up and played with wing backs as well, so it'd be interesting to see how that pans out.
Poor clearance out of play from the goalkeeper Vitek, maybe a slight lack of concentration there. Adams for Derby on the halfway line, goes backwards to Sanderson. Bristol City are going to bring on Max Bird back at his old club in a few moments. It looks like he's ready to come on for Bristol City. Had a slow start to this season personally because of He'll just work his way back to full fitness. 20 minutes to go. Derby 0, Bristol City 1. It's huffing and puffing from Derby, but Vitek remains untested in the Bristol City goal. Lots of endeavour from John Eustace's teams. You always get that with his teams, but in fairness, you also get quality at both ends of the field most of the time. He's got a great record as a manager, but Derby tonight just haven't quite had it in the final third, and maybe that's why he's already made all 5 subs with 20 minutes still to go.
Yeah, he's got to do something. He's obviously not seen the changes that he's wanted through the first set of substitutions, but they're certainly throwing caution to the wind here.
Jackson cross took a big deflection on it. Vitek, the goalkeeper, sharp this time, able to prevent the ball from going behind for a corner. How different a Bristol City performance has this been, Courtney, from the one you saw at Bramall Lane? The goals and the manner of them is the obvious thing, but are there still plenty of the same qualities off the ball?
Yeah, I think so. In terms of off the ball, they've looked very solid. I think that the big difference is actually they look less attacking in terms of those wing-back areas. They were throwing the wing-backs forward.
They're going to have to get back now. Jackson, left edge of the penalty area, pulls it back towards Morris, couldn't get there, and then it was stabbed away by the sliding Knight. He actually nearly turned it into the path of Derby's Clark. That's got the Derby fans going a bit. Here they come down the right with Clark again. That's an excellent tackle by Randall, sliding in. If the Derby fans in front of us think that a foul...
Not a chance. It's a brilliant tackle. It's a bit old-fashioned. It's ball then player, but I don't mind it at all.
If they think that's a foul, I hate to see what they think a bad tackle is. Here comes Bird against his old club then for Bristol City. And off goes Randall. That was his last involvement in the game, and not a bad involvement. 1-0 Bristol City. They are terrific, the Derby fans, when they get behind the team, and they're playing towards their favoured south end of the stadium here. And nice to see the Derby fans applauding Bird as he comes on. He made his Derby debut at the age of 16, a prodigious young talent, still just 24. Joe Ward with the long throw into the area for Derby County, header away. Knight was there, it's come back out to Ward, time to deliver right-footed, and that's too close to Vitek. Initially looked like it might have good shape on it, but in the end it spun into the goalkeeper's gloves.
Yeah, you're right. It just looked like it potentially might have enough curl to really bring it back away from the goalkeeper, but steps forward, does well, commands his area, Vitek.
Well, one back by Adams in the middle of the Bristol City half. Forward for Derby by Clark, and an important interception by Dickey. McCrory's gone down, holding his leg for Bristol City. Derby, I suppose, can play on because it's not a head injury, and Armstrong is breaking over the halfway line for them, and McCrory's back on his feet now. Armstrong bursts down the right-hand side. It's a brilliant run. And trying to get away from Adams. He's reached the corner flag from inside his own half, and he's won a free kick. Does a terrific job there, Armstrong. And Adams, I think, is going to get booked. He is.
That's what I say about Sinclair Armstrong. That's the difference in comparison to Emile Rees, where he's not got Rees that electric sort of pace and power. Yes, he will run the channels. He's got great energy, but not in the way that Sinclair Armstrong can do there with the power and the pace that he's got.
West Ham 1, Derby 5 on Talksport, and 1-0 to Bristol City. West Ham 1, Chelsea 5, sorry. Derby
You're
not been quite that prolific
we'd
tonight.
have 6 goals.
I've already promoted them, Courtney. It's 1-0 to Bristol City against Derby, I'm afraid, Rams fans. But there's still hope with just over 15 minutes to go. And it is Derby defending a free kick here. Twine will take it for Bristol City. Right-hand side, he's going to fist that into the near post. Morris is there to clear it away. That will bounce behind for a corner to Bristol City, and if they were to get a second, then that surely wraps it up for them. Atkinson, I think it's Atkinson who's down in the penalty area. That will delay the taking of the corner, and Bristol City probably won't mind that. Gerhard Struber has still got some changes up his sleeve, potentially, should he need to make any more. Atkinson back on his feet. Derby getting ready to defend the corner. Third of the match for Bristol City. Delivered in high by Twine to the edge of the 6-yard box, headed away by Clark. It'll drop down to Viner. He scoops it upfield for Bristol City, and header away by Jackson, not very fast, straight to Bird. The number 6 now Atkinson to Bird again. Wide left on the near side is Mehmeti. And it's Mehmeti faced up by two Derby defenders. Across comes Clark, got a foot in, and it's another Bristol City corner in this game. It doesn't feel like at the moment as though it's building to a big crescendo of a Derby equaliser, if anything. Bristol City might feel they can nick another.
I'm sure this is the first in-swinging corner for Bristol City as well. I'd be so tempted to put it right on top of Zetterstrom and see how he deals with it.
And Mehmeti was going to take it originally, but Twine has now come across, so maybe they will do just that. Atkinson and Armstrong standing right on the goalkeeper's toes. And Derby have brought everybody back here. Twine, one arm up into the air, whipped into the near post, flicked on, and nobody there in a red and white shirt to get the second ball. It was a clever flick at the near post by Mehmeti, but Bristol City unable to capitalise. Derby on the counter. Elder forward to Hoodmine, the Dutchman, up over to Brewster on halfway. Brewster checks back into his own half, trying to force his way beyond two in red and white. He's held it up brilliantly. Having gone to the floor, he beat both Twine and Bird, but then Derby give it away. Sloppy ball cross field. Mehmeti running down the left-hand side into the penalty area. Left-footed shot right across the face of goal, and had Twine got there, he would have tapped it in for two, but he couldn't make contact.
Architects of their own downfall there, Derby. Initially, Brewster does so well. He's working hard, wins the ball back. He's on the floor at one point, and then it's just a poor cross-field pass that gets gobbled up by Mehmeti, who does ever so well, and he does the right thing. He's trying to sort of that shot come cross. He's going across the goalkeeper, hoping that if he doesn't hit the target, someone can tap it in. That Twine was trying to do, but he just couldn't quite get there in time.
And nearly 28,000 at Pride Park tonight, and Derby poised to lose for a third game in a row to start the season. They have a free kick just inside Bristol City territory. And Joe Ward has come across to the near side touchline just briefly to get some instructions from some of the Derby coaching staff. Matt Gardner, I think, was the assistant who was speaking to him. Stood alongside John Eustace. Derby free kick. Bristol City bring everybody behind the ball. Plenty forward for Derby now. Standing over it is Elder. About 15 yards infield from the left. Elder hoists the ball long. Morris gets up with the header, and that's going to drift wide. A long way from goal when he met it. And again, it doesn't trouble Vitek. Even if it had been on target, it wouldn't have troubled Vitek. And now Dickey has gone to ground. And the referee watching as Dickey slowly but surely starts to sit up.
He's lost his boot. I know the fans want to get on with the game, and it's quite obvious this has been a collision and his foot's probably got stepped on, so telling him to hurry up, but he's got to find his boot first and put that back on.
He's nearly done it. 11 and a half minutes to go, plus added time. I wonder what John Eustace is thinking. I'm sure some of the Derby fans, Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, are now at the point where you maybe start to think it's just not going to be our night despite all the effort they put into the game.
Yeah, I think so, because for me there's not been enough attacking intent on that Bristol City goal. Yes, they've done well in spells, but actually those clear-cut opportunities, those moments just haven't come for Derby as yet. Yes, there is still time, but you know, the substitutes, for example, haven't seemed to have made a massive difference to that attacking threat.
Clark, middle of his own half for Derby. Sweeping ball, far side to left, out to Callum Elder, who crosses the halfway line, but then slows. Lack of tempo there, back to Hoodmine. Derby with Clark to Sanderson. This is all along the back line, if you like. Sanderson halfway. Long ball thundered up the middle. Up goes Jackson, beaten in the air, header away by Viner. Hooked over his shoulder and cleared by Knight for Bristol City. They've won just about everything in the air, Bristol City, tonight. Early ball down the left-hand touchline, the far side for Derby, looking for Jackson. Jackson with Viner looking to shepherd it behind, and Viner does just that. And full marks to the back three of Bristol City with 10 minutes to go. 1-0 they lead.
Yeah, I'm confused though, Joe, in terms of, you mentioned it, that big ball up by Sanderson. That, and you know, you'd understand it if it was a bit of urgency now trying to get the ball forward, but they've done it all night. And I know Carlton Morris is good in the air, don't get me wrong, but he's up against 6 foot plus centre-halves. He's never going to win that ball, and just seems strange to me that they're persisting with doing it when it's not working.
Well, they have won 9 times out of 10. Bristol City, the aerial battles, and here is Mehmeti putting it down the inside left, and Sinclair Armstrong is bursting into the penalty area. Twine is in the middle. Armstrong nutmegs Clark, angle tight, pulls it back. Mehmeti inside the box, heavy touch. Sanderson thunders it away, hit a Derby player, and Clark will clear it upfield to Morris. So that Bristol City counter comes to nothing. Brewster to Ward, gives it away square. Bird there to intercept. Derby fans frustrated. 9 minutes to go. Armstrong, dead ball line, and in no rush to get it into the penalty area. With Bristol City a goal to the good, and they were sloppy there. Armstrong slow to play it back, and then McCrory saw it whipped off his toes. Ward surging down the right for Derby, and he wins the throw. Derby fans desperate for their team to throw more bodies forward at this point, and at this stage, surely we're going to see Derby go even more direct.
Yeah, now you know what? I think Ryan Brewster's done really well since he's come on. You see there, obviously gets turned over in play, but he plays the ball out on the right-hand side. He's then busting a gut to get down that right-hand channel. The ball doesn't come to him, but he looks energetic.
Ward near side the right, hugging the touchline and having to play it backwards away from the defending Mehmeti. Now Ward again, near side of the field, no space to get a cross in. He will try to with his left foot. It's not a bad delivery. Up goes the goalkeeper, and Vitek takes it well out of the air. He's a giant goalkeeper, Radek Vitek. That's one of the first times I can remember having to do anything in terms of handling in the whole game.
Yeah, and he's done well actually as well, because he's under pressure by Jackson, and that's something actually that I noticed about Vitek, and he's doing it again today, obviously because he's not been on the ball a lot. We've not been able to tell, but he loves throwing the ball out. He very sort of rarely puts the ball down and plays out with his feet when he catches it. He loves to just loft the ball out. He's got a great throw on him, don't get me wrong, but yeah, it just seems quite peculiar. You don't see many goalkeepers do that.
All the way to the halfway line, like Peter Schmeichel used to do. Didn't quite come off. Derby on the attack. Morris, left-hand side to Jackson. Inside the penalty area now, but the angle's against him. Plays it wide to Elder. On the overlap. Elder delivers a looping cross. Back post is Ward, and he can't get there. McCrory did enough with the challenge. Half-hearted appeals for a penalty from the Derby fans behind the goal, but I think even they knew it was in hope rather than expectation, and the minutes continue to tick by. 7 of normal time to go. It's a 1-0 lead for Bristol City, but in a strange way, it almost feels more comfortable than that at the moment.
Yeah, it does. You know, they've not been troubled really. You know, Jackson and Brewster are starting to bring a bit of energy to that forward line, but still, it doesn't come with an end product yet.
Along from Bristol City, the flick by Mehmeti down the near side, the left. Clark across in front of Armstrong to shepherd it back to his goalkeeper. Zetterstrom fired the ball out to his left immediately. Elder tucks it upfield, and now the ball is collected over the halfway line by the onrushing Adams. Adams is caught from behind by Twine. That's a free kick to Derby County. A yard infield from the left. Chelsea still 5-1 up at West Ham, and whatever happens tonight at Pride Park, you can have your say over on Talksport from 10 o'clock on the Sports Bar Weekender. 03717 223344, and that's to speak to Adam Cattrall and the former Chelsea striker Carlton Cole, who will take your calls later tonight. So, Derby free kick, about 15 yards into Bristol City territory, yard or so infield from the left. Elder is over it, one arm up into the air. Bristol City with all the red shirts back, hoisted in high by Elder, and 3 went for it for Bristol City. Atkinson headed it away eventually. Viner heads clear as well from the edge of the box, and he's going to let it bounce down towards the dead ball line now, the centre half, and out of play for a goal kick. And really, they've made it look easy defending those high balls upfield, the Bristol City defenders. It's a good combination of players they have throughout the 11, Courtney, isn't it, in terms of that, the variation, the guile and the flair up front, and the stout defensive ability at the back.
Yeah, exactly, and you've got obviously the real big men in the likes of Dickey and Atkinson. No, Viner, don't get me wrong, he loves to put in a challenge and attacks well, but he's got that little bit more pace, so it just adds balance to that back line. And they've got the wing backs with, you know, whether it be, you know, Sykes and McCrory or Hirakawa as well, obviously on the bench. Like, they've got boundless energy in those positions, which you need to be a wing back. And as you say, then up front they've got quality. They've got Mehmeti, who's tricky on the ball. They've got Twine. It's more about his technical ability. So they've got a real good balance and blend, I think.
5 minutes to go. Some of the Derby fans in front of us get up to leave. They've seen enough. But Derby are only 1-0 down. Morris down by the corner flag, plays it backwards. Elder in a crossing position, delivers high. Ward at the back post, heads it! What a save! Rebound! It's in! It must have crossed the line from Morris. It has! Derby get a late leveller! And it's another for Carlton Morris. Vitek made a brilliant save to keep out Ward's header. Morris was first to the rebound, and Atkinson on the line couldn't keep it from crossing, and it's Derby 1, Bristol City 1.
Well, Carlton Morris doing what all good centre forwards should be doing, and sniffing out where this ball is going to drop. Oh, initially, Vitek does ever so well with the first save, by the way. Big save, big pour to it. He gets good power on it. But his defenders, for my opinion, let him down. They're not sniffing out the second phase where Carlton Morris is sniffing out best case scenario where the ball's going to drop. The defenders should be sniffing out what's going on, where it's going to drop, where is the danger, which they don't do quite quick enough for my liking. There's a bit of last-ditch defending attempt to clear it off the line, but the ball had already gone across. And to be fair, on the balance, you'd probably say that a draw is a fair result. But there's still a bit of time left, Joe.
Third goal for Derby for Carlton Morris, and it's 1-1 at Pride Park. Listen to the noise now from the Derby fans on Talksport 2. And Bristol City made to pay. Morris, that fox in the box again.
Well, that's what you've got to do as a centre forward. You've just got to anticipate where the ball's going to land, and then hopefully you can get on the end of it. And I say, as I mentioned, yes, have Bristol City look comfortable for the majority of this game, especially since they've gone 1-0 up? Yes, they have. But equally, they've not pushed on. They've not really looked to get that second goal with any urgency, and there's always a danger at 1-0. And they're paying the price for it right now.
Armstrong has held it up well for Bristol City. It'll be a fascinating last few minutes. Can Derby go on and win the game? 2 to go. Twine for Bristol City, long way out, corner of the penalty area. Twine jinks infield, fouled by Hoodmine. Clumsy foul that, really. And it's a free kick to Bristol City within Scott Twine distance, certainly, if not angle, because I guess it's better for a left footer.
Yeah, it's right on the edge of the right-hand side of the box, isn't it? So probably not a shooting opportunity for Twine, although with his quality you never know. But regardless, it's a good opportunity for him, because he might be able to get the angle to swing it in and trying his teammates to get on the end of it.
He's going for it, isn't he? No question. So. It's, as I say, a good distance away. 5-6 yards from the edge of the box, 25 yards out, right of centre, well right of centre. Scott Twine, who has scored 16 direct free kicks since the start of the 2021 season. The best record of any player in the top 4 divisions. Just over a minute to go, and it's 1-1 at Pride Park. Twine stands over the ball. And there are, I think, 3-4 in the Derby wall. They know the threat that Twine possesses. Is he going to try and bend it around the wall to the goalkeeper's left? Twine, the number 10. Steps up from 25 yards out. Right-footed corner! What a save by Zetterstrom! Fantastic effort from Twine. And the Derby goalkeeper gets across to turn it away.
It's a brilliant save. I've criticised him today, and I think rightly so. At times he has looked shaky, has not looked convincing, but that save is right out the top drawer, and that could be saving a point, or rather, saving a point for Derby County.
Well, Zetterstrom has hurt himself here. Maybe did he collide with the post, having turned that away? The referees stopped the game. It's 1-1 as we head towards stoppage time here. And Zetterstrom is in trouble with Derby having used all their substitutes, it's worth saying. So 1-1, and great fighting spirit from John Eustace's team.
Yeah, it was, and as I say, there were moments where Bristol City in this game looked very comfortable, but they were never out of sight. They never really pushed on to get that second goal, and Derby County have made them pay for it, and I think like the subs that came on showed a lot of endeavour, a lot of energy without that little bit of end product, whereas they finally get their rewards for that. Vitek, as I mentioned, initially makes a really good save. I think he'll be really unhappy with his defenders in front of him, but as all good forwards do, Carlton Morris just sniffing about, waiting for that opportunity. He's worked so hard today, by the way. He's had nothing to feed off. Long balls up to him. He's been battered and bruised by the likes of Atkinson and Dickey, but he's still kept going and he's got his rewards.
Well, Courtney Sweetman-Kirk knows what it's like to be that front player. And Carlton Morris that's his only snip of a chance, but he's got his goal. His third in 3 league games for Derby. He is going to be a very important part of their squad. Zetterstrom being treated. We've got 4 added minutes. We are a minute into those 4. And the Derby goalkeeper, worth repeating, Courtney. What an effort from Twine, who will go for goal from free kicks from anywhere. And I don't know how late he saw it, the goalkeeper, but it was a brilliant stop.
Yeah, it was brilliant. The way that he's at full stretch, it looked for all the world to be heading for that top right-hand corner. But to his own detriment, by the way, how it looks, obviously with the physios coming on. I do think he collides with the post when he makes the save. That's what goalkeepers have to do. They put themselves in positions where other players on the pitch will not. Comes with the territory. And as I say, he may have well just saved the point for Derby County.
But he gets some applause from John Eustace, the Derby boss, to Zetterstrom. So we're effectively starting added time from here. Officially 2 minutes into the 4, but really the 4 begin now. Derby County 1, Bristol City 1. Carlton Morris with the late leveller for Derby that may well earn them a first point of the season, and Bristol City won't be able to move into top spot as it stands, despite leading for a long time in the game. Had led since the 35th minute, before the equaliser in the 86th minute from Morris. So I make it about 30 seconds through the 4 added so far. Bristol City with Armstrong playing the ball backwards, and Bristol City poised to bring on Hirakawa shortly. Are Derby going to settle for a point? They're certainly sitting off Bristol City now. The ball is on the near side, the left. Nearly a minute of the 4 added played. Atkinson infield to Bird. 1-1 the score on Talksport 2. Ward battling to win it back for Derby, and the ball is clattered high and long by Sanderson. Morris is after it. Oh, and he's fouled by Dickey. No doubt about it. Free kick. Oh, it's gone the other way. Well, Morris just cannot believe it. Maybe you can explain, Courtney Sweetman-Kirk.
Not a chance. The only thing I can think of is he's trying to give it for backing in, but that is absolutely ridiculous. They're both at it. He's backing in. He's being pushed by Dickey. And then as he turns and gets free, Dickey just pulls him by the scruff of the neck. It's absolutely ridiculous. The assistant's right there. The referee's on top of it. Eustace has somehow got a yellow card because he probably speaks to the 4th official. And I don't condone going at the referees, but when you see decisions like that, you understand why emotions boil over, because that is ridiculous.
I don't think anybody in the ground, even the Bristol City players and fans, thought that free kick was going to go their way. Off goes Twine and on comes Hirakawa. And Morris was booked, I think, for his reaction more than anything. So I make it 2 of the 4 added played. Officially we've had the 4, but because of that delay, while Zetterstrom was treated, I think there are 2 minutes still to go. And it's still 1-1. Bristol City have it on the far side, the right. There'll be controversy if they score here, because Derby will feel that they should have had a free kick. Viner plays it backwards to Dickey just inside the Derby half. And Viner wins the throw out on that far side, the right. And Chelsea lead at West Ham, by the way, 5-1 still going into stoppage time in the capital. There's a commentary on Talksport. Long from Bird for Bristol City. 1-1 the score here. Out comes Zetterstrom after McCrory's flick, and the goalkeeper looked nervy maybe in the first half, but he's certainly redeemed himself in the second. And there is just over, I make it, a minute of added time left.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Mehmeti there. He's really Disappointing me today, really. He's one of those players that I love to watch, but he's been completely anonymous in the game, if we're honest. He's not got into it at all, and that's probably one of the reasons why Bristol City haven't pushed on today.
Elder, heavy touch on the halfway line for Derby, but the ball is won back by Hoodmai. Now Adams just shy of the centre circle, and a pressure from Hirakawa, so has to go back to Clark. Square ball to Sanderson. Derby County 1, Bristol City 1. Last 30 seconds or so. And Derby urging their players to get the ball forward, but Clark eventually does belt it long. High towards Morris, who leaps in the air with Viner, beaten to it by Viner. That's been a great battle over the course of the game. The referee's looked at his watch, thundered long by Clark again, 1-1. And about 10 seconds of added time remains here at Pride Park. Good sliding challenge by Clark. Derby understandably lifted by the equalising goal. Referee's looked at his watch again. Maybe one chance for Derby to get it long and deep into the Bristol City half. They do with the goalkeeper Zetterstrom up towards Morris. Was he having his shirt tugged by Viner? No, says the referee. Well, he was having his shirt tugged. It was rhetorical.
I just struggle to see what referees see sometimes. I really do.
Dickey away in front of Brewster. Derby throw. 10 yards shy of the corner flag. I think there's just enough time with the score 1-1 for Derby to take it as they tried to win it. Are we going to have late drama in the Championship? We have seen it so many times before. The south end of the stadium in front of the Derby fans. Elder in long to the near post, headed away. And that will end the game. But Derby pick up their first point of the league season, and they stop Bristol City from reaching the summit of the Championship in the process. The visitors held the lead for a long period after Scott Twine's well-taken 35th minute opening goal, but Derby, you feel, deserved a share of the spoils. Carlton Morris just about squeezing home a rebound late on after Joe Ward's header was brilliantly saved. Derby County 1, Bristol City 1 is the final score, and Derby are up and running, Courtney Sweetman-Kerr.
Yeah, they are, and they deserve to be. Look, for periods of this game, Bristol City controlled it as well as they could without really pushing on, and that was what ended up being their detriment, really. As I mentioned, Anis Mehmeti, a player that I love to watch, but very, very quiet today. And Derby County, they kept plugging away. I think there was a period in the second half after they conceded where I think they maybe felt sorry for themselves a little bit, but after that they kept pushing and pushing. Was it always with great quality? No, but in the end they pushed and they huffed and puffed just enough, obviously, to get themselves back in it. And I'm glad for Carlton Morris as well, because he worked so hard without a lot of quality into him, and so for him to put that ball in the back of the net, I think he deserves that goal.
You've seen Bristol City twice this season, Courtney. Contrast, I guess, certainly in terms of the result in the end. You've been disappointed with Bristol City's performance at 1-0. They never really went for that second, did they?
Yeah, I am. And the thing that really impressed me against Sheffield United was the way that the wing-backs got forward, and we probably didn't see that energy today. I appreciate it's a long season, and wing-back, the modern day for sure is one of the hardest positions to play, but quite surprised we didn't see Hirakawa a little bit sooner. Although he provided a great ball for the goal into Twine, I thought Sykes just didn't provide quite enough energy for me. So, yeah, I'm surprised that they didn't push on. I think there was a time and a place for the last 10-15 minutes, if you've really pushed to then sort of try and control the lead. But I felt like they were trying to control that lead for most of the second half, really.
From a Derby perspective, Carlton Morris, that goal earns Derby a point. It'll be interesting to see just how many points his goals earn Derby by the end of the campaign.
It's going to be vital, because he brings that goal scoring now at this level. He showed it in spades there, that he's anticipating where the ball's going to land. What is the best case scenario for me? Where can I get an opportunity? And we've always said if he gets the service that he's going to score goals. And to be quite frank, he didn't even get the service today, and he still put the ball in the back of the net. So as Derby progress, as they get better, as the likes of obviously Rhian Brewster come back and they all get fitter and the service into him gets better, he will score plenty of goals for Derby.
Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, thank you as always. We will see you soon on Talksport 2. It has finished at London Stadium. West Ham 1, Chelsea 5 tonight. First win of the season for Chelsea. Back-to-back defeats for West Ham United. In terms of the Championship table, Bristol City move up to 4th position, missing the chance to go top, unbeaten through their first 3 league matches, and Derby out of the drop zone, and a first point of the season on the board for John Eustace's team. Derby move up to 19th. The final score here on Talksport 2, Derby County 0, Bristol City 1. You can have your say on the action right now over on Talksport. 03717 22344, and we've got plenty more from the EFL coming for you tomorrow. 12:30, Charlton against Leicester is our first commentary of the day here on Talksport 2, and that is followed by Wrexham against Sheffield Wednesday. The live football just keeps on coming. We are the only place to hear live and exclusive national radio commentaries of the EFL. We are Talksport 2.